Restaurant way. From cups to espresso machines, get everything you need without the stress. That's the Webstaurant way.
Don't settle for boring. Design memorable t-shirts online in just a few clicks at uberprints.com. You can trust us to be the printing professionals that help you make your mark, so that you can focus more on the reasons that you needed the shirts in the first place. With top-notch service and quality custom t-shirts delivered right to your door. Start designing at Uberprints.
They say we are a TikTok generation, a generation of idiots. And when we rise up, they don't let us speak out about the country's problems. When a Malagasy protester said those words to DW, she captured the raw frustration of an entire generation disillusioned with their government. And it's not just in Madagascar, where the youth, angry at runaway corruption, economic uncertainty, or a host of other issues, have taken to the streets in protest. In Nepal, demonstrations against a social media ban quickly turned into a wholesale revolution. In Kenya, they rallied against an unpopular finance bill and police brutality. And in Ladakh, they agitated for greater constitutional safeguards and statehood from India, which has governed the region federally since 2019. In Madagascar, however, the protests were caused by something most people would take for granted: access to water and electricity. Madagascar is one of Africa's poorest nations, with about 80% of its population living on less than $2.15 a day. The government recently implemented rolling cuts, which left millions in the dark and without water. In the capital, Antananarivo, these cuts meant that people could be without essential services for more than 12 hours, making the country's already precarious situation a lot more precarious. The government's response followed a familiar playbook: heavy-handed force, curfews, tear gas, and mass detentions. When that quite predictably did not work, President Andry Rajoelina announced that he was dissolving the government. Even this dramatic gesture has failed to assuage public anger. At the time of writing, protesters continue demanding his resignation, which, if it happens, would be quite ironic given that President Rajoelina first came to power through a wave of street protests that toppled his predecessor in 2009. But Madagascar is just one flashpoint in a wider wave of unrest that has stretched across the global south this year. And because that wave seems to already be rolling on to across Morocco, Peru, and other nations, now seems like the perfect time to ask, well, what's driving it? Where's it going to go next? And what does it mean for the global south?
And now a quick word from our sponsor, me, or more precisely, my website, fronts.co. Have you ever found yourself thinking, there's just not enough content on Warfront. 6 videos a week is just not enough for me. I want the world to be crazier. I want more war, more death. Well, 1, what's wrong with you? And 2, well, great news. Extra Warfronts content is now at your fingertips over at fronts.co. Look at that. Look at that. Yes, starting this very week, we'll be posting 2 exclusive videos every week to our new subscriber-only website, fronts.co. For just $5 a month, you'll gain access to brand new Warfronts content that won't be available on YouTube. Our first videos are already up, exploring topics as timely as whether Poland could win a war against Russia, and as timeless as how South Korea came to build the best tank on Earth. And to sweeten the deal, we're also asking our writers to contribute 2 in-depth written articles each week, exploring some unusual or less appreciated angle on geopolitics and warfare. So, not only will you get more of the videos you love, you'll also get a chance to read some of our writers' unfiltered takes on war news. So look, if you like this channel, you'll love fronts.co. Again, $5 a month. It helps support us here at Fronts, Warfronts, Political Fronts, and fronts.co. And nothing is changing here. I have learned from the mistakes of past YouTubers. We are not doing a paywall on any existing content. The 6 videos a week will be here for you just as before. It's all just gravy, baby! Don't know why I went all Austin Powers there. But, yeah, fronts.co. Just go there. Good domain, right? It was expensive.
Now, perhaps the single most important factor driving these protests is demographics. Countries across the global south are experiencing a youth bulge, a phenomenon where a large share of the population is comprised of children and young adults. According to Justin Lin, former chief economist of the World Bank, the youth bulge commonly happens in developing countries after the state successfully reduces infant mortality rates while mothers still maintain a high fertility rate. In theory, a youth bulge should be a good thing. As more young people enter the workforce, the country's dependency ratio, that is, the ratio of the non-working age population to the working age population, will decline. If these young people can be fully employed in productive activities, the country's economy should boom. Given all the demographic doomerism in places like Europe and the United States, this seems like a pretty good problem to have. But there are potential downsides. If all of those young people can't find employment, a situation that is becoming increasingly common across the world, then it tends to no longer be the economy that goes boom, but the entire nation. Exacerbating the unemployment issue is the fact that more young people than ever before are getting access to higher education. However, a degree no longer guarantees a job, let alone a stable career, because these economies have not grown fast enough to absorb the influx of graduates. Not to state the obvious, but this is a really big problem. Santosh, a young man from Nepal, put it this way. There is a big problem with jobs here. Even after getting a degree, people don't find work, so they have to go abroad. And those that do only earn 100 to 150 euros a month. That's not enough to live on. According to Dr. Richard W. Frank, a senior lecturer at the Australian National University, this disconnect between expectation and reality can push youth towards more radical forms of dissent. He warns that young people who can't secure employment have a lower opportunity cost for engaging in risky behavior. When they don't feel like they have a stake in the system, they become more willing to challenge it, sometimes violently so. Now, this is also true of much of the West, where the number of people holding degrees has far outstripped the number of well-paid graduate jobs. But what makes these grievances even more pronounced in countries like Morocco, Peru, or Madagascar is how visible economic inequality has begun. And not just inequality, but also rampant elite corruption. In Nepal, while ordinary citizens were trying to make ends meet, Sagar Thapa, the son of politician Bindu Thapa, posted a picture of himself in front of a Christmas tree made of over 30 luxury gift boxes from brands like Cartier, Louis Vuitton, and Gucci. This angered the youth so much that they took to social media using the hashtags NepoKids and NepoBabies to criticize what they saw as the extravagance of a corrupt class shielded from the daily struggles faced by the average Nepali. In Kenya, while the government was preaching austerity to try and curb the country's debt crisis, President William Ruto and his close ally, Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, were seen wearing designer shirts and watches worth thousands of dollars. In Indonesia, parliamentarians voted to give themselves a monthly housing allowance of 50 million rupiah, that's approximately $3,000, in addition to their salaries, a sum almost 10 times the Jakarta minimum wage. The backlash isn't just about the opulence being displayed by public officials and their families, though. It's about what those images represent in societies already weighed down by economic hardships. When leaders tell citizens to tighten their belts but are photographed in designer clothes or block public roads for hours to celebrate the wedding of a politician's daughter, the gap becomes pretty impossible to ignore. For young people struggling to simply survive, it is a blatant provocation. And it's here that we get to the key difference between the protests we're covering in this video and other recent protests that have taken place in countries like France and Britain. In the West, inequality and elite corruption can be enraging, but it is rare for governments to take decisions that could leave you literally unable to feed your family and then openly laugh about it.
Should we use an HMO or a POS or
PPO?
maybe add an FS?
Or HRA.
We can add an H.
Never forget that one Indonesian MP who called those protesting against his exorbitant lifestyle, quote, the dumbest people in the world. This is why some countries, like China, have started cracking down on ostentatious displays of wealth, fearing the social unrest that they might trigger. But it's not just the inequality itself that's unique to this time period and these protests. No, there's also another factor. One that's become embedded in all our lives over the last 15 years or so. One that today is ubiquitous even in poor nations like Madagascar. We're talking, of course, about social media. Although the governments of the global south don't have the same tools to control the internet as China, they have still attempted to force it to do their bidding. The Kenyan government passed the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Bill, while in Indonesia the state has the Electronic Transaction and Information Law. Critics see both as attempts to stifle speech on social media. But we should be fair and point out that the governments insist they are necessary to safeguard national security. Laws like these, regardless of where they are passed, often underestimate the importance of the internet to young people. Quoting Dr. Nayana Prakash, a research fellow at Chatham House, there's been a sort of trivializing of what social media can mean to young people, both in this protest and across the world. Social media isn't just a way that we chat with our friends, it's a way that we feel connected to any kind of network in society, both locally and globally. Gen Z is the first generation to grow up with widespread access to the internet. And for them, it's more than just a source of entertainment and intriguing documentaries presented by knowledgeable bald men. It's a tool that they use to learn, connect with their communities. I am very bored. To connect with their communities and make a living and hold those in power accountable. Young people across the world have taken to posting content satirizing their governments whenever they feel unheard, mocking politicians through nicknames, memes, and parody videos. When satire fails to change things, internet platforms can quickly transform into protest headquarters. Encrypted messaging apps like WhatsApp and Telegram become command centers for coordinating protesters, while social platforms like TikTok and Instagram turn into broadcast stations to live stream police brutality. Protesters in Kenya and Indonesia used these apps extensively when they recorded the deaths of Boniface Karuki and Afan Kuranawan at the hands of the police. Those videos became rallying cries that mobilized thousands more to take to the streets. More importantly, the internet allows ideas to spread, not just within countries, but all over the world. This is the key point that we really want to hammer home here. 2025 hasn't been a summer of youth protests just because governments this year have been particularly shitty. It's also because the images of protest from one nation can galvanize young people in another, or even give them practical advice. Protesters across the world now share ideas on everything
There's a special
from
name for that when
mobilization
it
to something as
went through the
practical
Middle
as
East,
how to handle tear gas.
Spring Revolution or
Nothing
some
illustrates
shit.
this global exchange better than the appearance of a flag from the anime One Piece at protests across the world, from Jakarta to Paris and Antananarivo. Dr. Subir Sinha, a scholar at the School of Oriental and African Studies in London, told France 24 that the flag has been given new meaning by the protesters, elevating it from a cartoon emblem into a political symbol. Quoting him here, well, all of these movements basically have rallied around this anime figure, and they've given it a new meaning. That somehow this stands for freedom, it stands for liberty, it stands against corruption, it stands against the elite. The youth's collective anger at the system they see as only working for the elites, now represented by the flag of the Straw Hat Pirates, has allowed the protests to become, in Dr. Sinha's words, a contagion, or to use terminology better suited to the internet, a meme. However, the most important idea spreading across borders isn't a tactic or a symbol, it's the fundamental realization that governments are neither infallible nor invincible. Every live-streamed protest, every time a government building is breached, every time a government acquiesces to protesters' demands, it is proof that the status quo can be challenged. And that inspires copycats. There's a reason why so many of this year's protests have echoes of others, why Nepal's parliament went up in flames just as Kenya's did in 2024, why the homes of Nepali politicians were ransacked and burned as they had been in Indonesia just weeks earlier, why the protesters in Morocco have organized themselves in the same way as those in Madagascar or Peru. Yet copycat doesn't mean identical. Because while some have already started talking about an Asian Spring, the fact is that Nepal's revolution is an outlier. In most other nations hit by the Gen Z protests, governments are still standing, and in some, they've become even more entrenched. Although these protests share a common DNA, their outcomes have differed significantly depending on factors such as how the political elite reacts and how organized the youth are. Some have led to tangible political change, while others have fizzled out, underscoring the fact that copying the protest doesn't guarantee the same result. In Kenya, after sustained protests against the 2024 finance bill, President William Ruto withdrew it, conceding to one of the protesters' central demands. He went even further, dissolving his cabinet and promising major reforms. However, that's where the momentum stopped. Within weeks, he had reached out to the opposition to shore up his government through a coalition-type arrangement known as the broad-based government. Then he rehired many of his old ministers, and those he didn't retain were rewarded with cushy positions, often as ambassadors, to ensure their loyalty. And the finance bill? Well, according to National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, they quietly passed most of its provisions in December 2024, barely 5 months after the deadly protests. Kenya is a perfect example of what happens when the government has mastered the art of performative accountability. By acquiescing to some of the protesters' demands and instituting the bare minimum reforms possible, the government was buying time and goodwill, hoping that short attention spans and fatigue would eventually wear down the movement.
110
The strategy
damage
worked, as
for my
subsequent
region.
protests, including a wave this summer that turned deadly, have failed to reach the critical mass of June 2024 when the Parliament building was set alight. As such, the government has been able to implement its agenda unchallenged. Additionally, the Kenyan protests have exposed the limits of leaderless movements in sustaining long-term pressure. Without institution or structures, there was no mechanism to hold President Ruto accountable to his promises. Contrast this with Nepal, where demonstrators were able to oust former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. The Nepalese protesters succeeded where Kenya's failed for one critical reason. The coalition government propping up Oli was already on the verge of collapse. Oli only became the prime minister after two of the largest parties in Nepal, the Nepali Congress and the Communist Party of Nepal, formed a coalition government. The two parties are historical rivals, and their ideologies are diametrically opposed. The coalition between the two was destined to fail, and cracks could be seen long before the first young person picked up an anime flag. After the protests, the Nepali Congress put out a statement urging Oli to take responsibility for the violence, signaling that the end was near. Nepalese youth took advantage of a fractured political class to not only remove an unpopular government, but to also get an interim government sympathetic to their cause appointed. And they haven't stopped there. Led by Sudan Garang, a 36-year-old former DJ and founder of the non-governmental organization Hani Nepal, the movement has begun the transition from street protest to electoral politics. In an exclusive interview with Al Jazeera's Start Here, Garang confirmed that he would be vying for elections
If I
and
debuted it,
launching a political party to present a
that's crazy
unified
reach,
youth front
so.
in the upcoming March elections. Kenya and Nepal represent the two poles of possible outcomes for these youth-led movements. On the one hand, there's performative concessions meant to lessen public anger while maintaining the status quo. On the other hand, there's radical change that reshapes a nation's entire political landscape. But predicting where a country ends up on this spectrum while protests are still happening is a pretty difficult task. Madagascar, for instance, seems to be leaning towards the Kenya model after the president dissolved the government but still retained his
Want
power.
that Omni Vamp so
But
bad.
this is
I have
geopolitics,
gamblers.
where events can move
It's also free
rapidly
money.
in the 2 days between us recording this video and releasing it.
Omni.
By the time you're watching this on YouTube, Madagascar could well have a new president, which would push it firmly into the Nepal camp. It's a lot easier to place a country on the spectrum. With the benefit of hindsight, Indonesia tilts more towards the Kenyan model. According to Liam Gammon, a research fellow at the Australian National University, Indonesian protesters hit a brick wall of elite unity. This allowed the government to skate by with cosmetic changes like reducing lawmakers' benefits while ignoring most of the 17+8 demands, a set of short and long-term measures drawn up by activists to address their concerns. When the press asked Pabaya Sadiwa, the country's new finance minister, about these demands, he dismissed them as the complaints of the poor minority, saying, and we'll quote him here, "That's just the voice of a small part of our people. Maybe some feel disturbed that their lives are still lacking. If I create 6 to 7% economic growth, those demands will disappear automatically. People will be busy working and eating well instead of protesting." This response revealed a belief in Jakarta that economic growth alone could paper over the deep-seated grievances about inequality and corruption. Basically, the ruling class calculated that time and rising GDP figures would erode the protests faster than any genuine reform could. But not all governments can afford to play the waiting game. In 2022, Sri Lankan protesters forced out the long-ruling Rajapaksa family, which had worked to consolidate power and weaken checks on its rule. 2 years later, in 2024, the Bangladeshi youth toppled the government of Sheikh Hasina, who had dominated her nation for decades and turned increasingly authoritarian, proving that while the Nepal model is rare, it is not impossible. Then there are cases like Ladakh, which exist outside the Kenya and Nepal models. In these instances, the authorities calculate that they can simply crush dissent without any consequence. In Ladakh, the Indian government imposed curfews, shut down the internet, and detained dozens after a peaceful protest turned violent. Cases like this usually happen when protests are confined to small areas or when the community protesting has little ability to influence national elections. Ladakh is home to fewer than 300,000 people according to the last census, and in a nation of 1.4 billion, it represents less than 0.02% of India's population. Their concerns barely register in New Delhi, and for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government, the cost of repression is negligible. A similar crushing of protest took place earlier this year in the Caucasus nation of Georgia, in that case because the oligarchs stayed in line while the government cracked down. If rumors are to be believed, the president of Serbia may be preparing to do the same. It's a reality that young people around the world will be considering as they weigh the decision to take their frustrations to the streets. Okay, so the last time that we asked this question, looking at why One Piece has become a global protest symbol, we predicted that the next wave of protests would hit Nigeria, Bangladesh, and Spain. To be clear, these were always only informed estimates, a product of us looking at the factors in Indonesia, Nepal, and Kenya and seeing where else might have a similar mix of potential triggers. Still, we managed to completely miss the nations with a similar mix that subsequently did erupt: Madagascar and Morocco. The latter of which has been caused by growing dissatisfaction with the vast sums being spent towards preparation for the 2030 World Cup, while the country's social services like education continue to be underfunded. The crystal ball that we often refer to, I'm afraid it's still not working. However, what was true then and still is true now is that protests like these are likely to blow up wherever the youth are pissed off at corruption and lack of opportunities. And, as recent events have proven, that can be almost anywhere. So instead of asking which country will be next, let's look at what countries in the global south can do to preempt these protests, because while unexpected, they are not inevitable. According to Justin Lin, the former World Bank economist that we quoted earlier, the first and most obvious solution is job creation. Governments need to move beyond campaign rhetoric and actually create employment opportunities that match the qualifications of their educated youth. This means investing in industries that can absorb large numbers of workers, supporting entrepreneurship through accessible credit and reduced red tape, and partnering with the private sector to align educational curricula with market needs. But jobs alone aren't going to solve the problem. Governments must actively tackle corruption. And when we say actively, we really mean it. Launching performative anti-corruption campaigns that only target political opponents while your allies are building Christmas trees of Gucci boxes isn't going to cut it anymore. This is already happening in Nepal, where Om Prakash Aral, Prime Minister Karki's choice for Home Minister, announced that all the corruption cases that had been stopped because of political influence would be reopened. Finally, governments need to create official channels for young people to voice their concerns. Here's the crucial bit: they need to actually fucking listen to them. And look, we're just YouTubers. We can't guarantee that governments will prevent all protests by following our advice. But we can say with absolute certainty that ignoring these issues is only going to make things worse. And 2025 seems to be a year in which protests are the new big thing among the youth. Bigger than Labubu's, bigger even than the Infinity Castle movie. Only the coming months will tell whether the trend has already peaked or if there are more sequels to come. Thank you for watching.
So 20 years until retirement.
At this rate, it's probably going to be more like 40.
Okay, no, way too long. Let's see how much you're spending. Download an app called Rocket Money.
Oh, wow. I've got 3 DoorDash accounts? I totally forgot to cancel those.
You know you can cancel those right in the app? Rocket Money has a clear dashboard that shows you all your income and expenses, helping you stay in control of your goals.
It also shows you a list of all your subscriptions and how much you're paying, all in one place. Is this the best budgeting app?
Yes, and it's called Rocket Money.
On Monday, the 25th of August, long simmering tensions in Indonesia finally bubbled to the surface. Thousands took to the streets of Jakarta to protest against what they saw as a government intent on enriching itself at the expense of the ordinary people. The protesters, some carrying pirate flags from the anime One Piece, had one target in their sights: Parliament. 1,250 police officers were deployed to guard the building and were soon engaging in running battles with angry demonstrators. On one side, tear gas and water cannons were deployed. On the other, angry citizens were lighting fires and hurling rocks. Little could anyone have guessed that these scenes of carnage were only the beginning. In the days that followed, the protests swelled, transforming what began as a local outburst into a national movement that experts have described as the greatest test for President Prabowo Subianto. The scenes coming out of Jakarta are grim. Protesters have been killed, buildings torched, politicians' houses have been looted, and thousands have been arrested. If recent history is any indicator, things will only get worse before they get better. So how did Indonesia spiral into this crisis? And is there any way out? Tensions have been high in Indonesia since President Subianto's government introduced massive spending cuts in February to fund his signature free nutritious meals program. The cuts and subsequent unemployment exacerbated an existing cost of living crisis. To make matters worse, local governments began imposing higher property taxes to address the budgetary shortfalls caused by President Subianto's cuts. There was also a lot of anger after the government pushed through a controversial amendment to allow serving military officers to hold crucial civilian posts. The amendment raised fears that President Subianto, a former army general and son-in-law of the former dictator Suharto, was dragging the nation back to the dark days of military rule. So, you can imagine the outrage when, amidst these conditions, Indonesian parliamentarians started receiving a monthly housing allowance of 50 million rupiah. That's approximately $3,000 in addition to their salaries. The allowance, introduced last year, is, according to Al Jazeera, almost 10 times the Jakarta minimum wage and about 20 times the monthly minimum wage in poorer areas of the country. And these figures may even be on the low end. According to analysis by the Indonesian Forum for Budget Transparency, an NGO that carries out oversight of the state's budget, parliamentarians may now be taking home 230 million rupiah monthly. That's about $13,940. For most Indonesians, the issue wasn't how high the figure was, rather it was the sheer audacity of politicians rewarding themselves at a time when ordinary citizens were struggling to survive. And we mean survive. Just days before this news broke, a story went viral on Indonesian social media of a 4-year-old girl called Raya who died from tuberculosis exacerbated by malnutrition and roundworms. The fact that a child could die of malnutrition while those in government enriched themselves made the whole nation not just angry, it made them livid. Like, really livid. Unfortunately, it was onto this smouldering flame of public outrage that Indonesia's MPs decided to pour an industrial quantity of gasoline. Responding to the growing controversy, Abigail Lemuria, co-founder of the digital media platform WhatsApp Indonesia, claimed that one MP dismissed the vast gulf between their salary and those of ordinary people by saying, "Wait for it, do not compare us to the commoners." And you said the quiet part out loud, my dude. What the hell are you doing? Another MP, Ahmad Saroni, described those who were calling for the dissolution of parliament in response to these exorbitant perks as, quoting here, "the dumbest people in the world." Those people who voted you in, by the way.
I hate to even give them the view, but fuck it.
The reason we're here, and I don't think you would argue that this is unnecessary, the assassination in cold blood is an act of terrorism of Charlie Kirk. Is that political violence? You seem so confident on the Hortmans, but not Charlie Kirk.
I was just thinking about your question.
If that doesn't constitute political violence that could be answered in the affirmative immediately, of course, what would?
Hey YouTube, what you're about to watch is a new segment we call Change My Mind. Welcome back to Change My Mind. It's been a while. This is the place where we rationalize, we reason our positions on controversial topics. When I created Change My Mind in 2017, I had one goal in mind, and that was to shine a light on the institutions that had failed Americans. often students propagandized by the educational system, as well as legacy media.
Mr. Trump's once again defending comments he made about the white supremacists and neo-Nazis.
There were very fine people on both sides.
The president's statement that both sides are responsible for the violence in Charlottesville.
It was designed to bring genuine dialogue to what had become an impenetrable echo chamber dominated by progressive professors, administrators, student leadership, along with the complicit media and big tech establishment. To put it simply, the kind of dialogue that evaded all of cable news.
I know you said that. 150 police officers got hurt.
You said I was being hyperbolic. Let me respond. I'm not. You being a white man as an insult?
That just shows you the ridiculousness of all of this.
And so, nearly a decade later, with billions of plays, countless discussions, inspired student iterations, one meme of the year, and yes, even a few changed minds later.
I somewhat changed your mind.
Changed My Mind had grown far bigger than I ever initially anticipated. And
No
with
shot
that,
that auto-killed.
came pushback, controversy, increasing hostility, and yes, straight up violence.
You piece of living garbage-ass dumpster fire.
Oh, she throws
It got to the point where security became a serious issue.
That works.
And so I pulled back. Now, given recent events, however, I felt led, compelled even, to bring it back. Voices like ours, and I mean ours, can't be silenced. And I say this to you watching on the left. Made me do this. I didn't necessarily want to, and everyone told me that this, in today's climate, could not be done unless I took unbelievable precautions, unless it was absolutely kept a secret until mere hours before the event as a pop-up, unless I literally brought an army with me and bulletproofed the entire radius, which is exactly what we did. And so today, for the first time in many years, Change My Mind returns, and back to one of the places where it all began, Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. Today's subject is plain and simple. The left is violent. Will anybody be able to change my mind?
Thank you, Christina,
Sorry,
for sitting
tell
down.
me your name one more time.
Stephen.
Stephen. Yes. Okay.
So I'll take that. I mean, you're not maybe super familiar with what we do with these this series. Let me just kind of clarify what it is. First, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not gotcha. It's not clickbait. This is not meant to be, or it won't be used to clip into some kind of a dunk or something to just foment people espousing the same rhetoric on one side. It will be uploaded contextually in its entirety, where hopefully we have a productive discussion.
Yes.
We rationalize our positions, reason them on controversial topics. Before I get to the premise of today, could you do me a favor just so we can find some common ground?
Yeah.
This is what's being cited right now quite a bit. Just the definition of political violence. I want to make sure we both agree on it.
Political violence are criminal complaints, indictments, and court records looking for crimes that seek a socio-political change or to communicate to outside audience.
And I'll summarize it. That's the technical description from the source cited.
Yeah.
It's violence as a tool being used toward a political end. In other words, just because you vote Democrat or because you vote Republican, if you accidentally hit someone with your car and commit manslaughter, that's not political violence. If you vote Democrat, but let's say you go out and run someone over because of their politics, that would be political violence. Do we agree on that?
I think I can agree with you on that.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So the premise today is that particularly today in 2025, by and large, the political violence is coming from the left. It's not proportionate with that on the right. That's the reason for the security that you see today that's very necessary. And it's a problem that's reaching a boiling point that may not be sustainable. If you disagree with me, you're welcome to change my mind.
I don't know if I can change your mind, because here's the thing. When I see the sign that says the left is violent, and you talked about how it's not proportional, and I would love to see your statistics about that, because we could make the same statement about the right very easily, right? Like we could say that was it just a month or two ago that the Democratic lawmakers were shot, and that was like, all right. I think our bigger problem is that the
You're talking about the Hortmans in Minnesota, right?
Right, yeah, because she was a senator and her husband was also killed, and that was done by the right, whatever. But
it wasn't. But continue.
Oh, that wasn't a.
No.
It wasn't a conservative or.
No, that's why I used the example that I did. The person, Bolter, Vance Bolter, who committed it, specifically said it had nothing to do with politics, and he left a letter reasoning it, saying that Tim Walz had ordered him to carry a hit out on people. So he was very clear that it wasn't in the name of politics. That's someone who happened to be, on some issues, Republican, on some issues, Democrat.
Liquor
He was
Blade
appointed
actually might be good
by a Tim Walz administration. So that was not done in the name of political violence. He said Tim Walz ordered him to assassinate somebody who was out of his mind. But I'd like you to continue with the example.
Sure. And let's say, okay, so he wasn't right. That's fine.
No, it wasn't political violence.
Wasn't political. Oh, it didn't count as political violence.
Based on the definition you agreed to, right?
Yeah.
Let's get the fucking guy that does damage.
There's so many things happening. It's actually really hard to get all the facts about everything.
Sure.
And our media is
over there fighting the tank for no reason.
When they make these statements or they start to postulate about an event, and it will become political before we've even fully fleshed everything out. Like.
Could you give me an example?
Well, like the shooting that happened at the church yesterday. I haven't seen enough. I don't know. Have you seen any media on it yet? I'm curious to know what the media is saying
quite a bit
about it, and I want to know how are they characterizing it.
Yeah, the media isn't characterizing. Even I will say this, even on the left and the right, they're not really characterizing that as political violence.
Okay.
Because it was a guy who really seemed to harbor ill will toward the Mormon Church. So it's pretty hard to categorize it as political violence when the targets were largely conservative and the man who carried out the action seems like he might be a Republican. But I think we could pick a more clear example, a multitude of them. The reason we're here, and I don't think you would argue that this is unnecessary, the assassination in cold blood is an act of terrorism of Charlie Kirk. Is that political violence?
Do I go Atlas and just have stupid health for no reason?
You seem so confident on the Hortmans, but not Charlie Kirk.
I would say, I was just thinking about your question. Probably because he was like Turning Point USA is a conservative organization, right? That's meant to try and rally young conservatives and be involved. And so, I would probably agree that his death was political, or his murder, assassination was politically violent. But I guess I just have a hard time reconciling that with, we can say that the senator and her husband being killed wasn't political, but...
I'll tell you exactly why. I'll tell you exactly why. Because the express motive of the terrorist who assassinated Charlie Kirk was politics. He killed him because he said he's one of those hateful conservative right-wingers. The rhetoric that he espoused, the reason that he killed Charlie Kirk, was to take out someone of his political persuasion and make others of his political persuasion afraid to express their opinions. The man who assassinated, which I roundly condemn, Vance Bolter, the Hortmans, did not do it as a means to a political end. Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he is not an elected official, solely because of his political perspective as a method to instill terror in the populace. How do I know? Because the person said it was political violence.
Okay, what if we just don't even have enough information, though? Like, what if it is politically motivated and we just don't have enough to know about it yet?
In that case, we do.
Well, not in this particular instance, but I just mean, like, with the Hortmans you mentioned.
Okay, well, let's separate the gray area.
Okay.
Right, that's why I kind of start with the example. Just because you, I would assume, let's say, vote Democrat or Republican, just because you commit a crime doesn't make it political violence. I mean, if we did that, we'd have 90% of the crime being committed on behalf of the Democrat Party because most people in inner cities vote Democrat. I don't consider that to be political violence. People have political beliefs, and people commit violence. Sometimes they rob a store because they want money. People who commit political violence do so specifically to instill fear in political opposition. They specifically commit violence as a means to a political end.
Okay.
And when we categorize it that way, it's overwhelmingly coming from the left. We do have the sources here that we make this available, so you can take the QR code. So what would make you, because you seem very confident that the Hortmans was political violence, and then it's nuanced with Charlie Kirk. Why?
Oh, I didn't say it was nuanced at all with Charlie Kirk. I agreed with you after considering your question that it was a political...
If that doesn't constitute political violence that could be answered in the affirmative immediately, of course, what would? Like, what would be required to say, oh, this is clearly an act of political violence or political terrorism, if not Charlie Kirk?
I agreed that it was political violence, so I'm not sure where this question's coming from.
Well, I'm saying because you came in and pointed to an example that would be in the gray area, the Hortmans, and took a long time to agree with that premise of Charlie Kirk. And so what if we don't know enough information? So Charlie Kirk would be very clear left-wing political violence.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I'm getting no value out of the force
So
of
there
entropy.
are more examples of that coming from the left than the right. That's the premise, yes.
Okay. So you're saying clear
67% chance, and it like never procs.
Violence carried out as a means to a political end.
So there's clear information, data that shows us that the left is violent or is more violent than the right.
Yes. Not only in crime statistics, but also in the polling after Charlie Kirk's death. Now, I believe that you're discussing this in
polling.
good
Why
faith,
is he
and I
looking at
would assume that you
polling to
roundly
look up the
condemn
statistic?
political violence of all stripes.
Of course.
So do I. Just to be clear, I think we both
not
are.
what people
That's
feel
why we're
about
sitting
it,
at a
but
table
what's
having a
actually
conversation.
going on.
Do you identify
It's
as
kinda
more
wild.
liberal or conservative?
I like to think I'm moderate because I hold some conservative views and some liberal views.
Okay.
And I wish we could have a little bit more moderation in our country.
Like sitting down and having discussions?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like things like this.
Because we get killed for it anyway.
Right. Yeah.
And only the right. Only the right gets killed for this anyway. You're seeing the one that got through. The reason I stopped doing this for years is because every single time out was a violent attack. Sometimes it was a rock. Sometimes it was a milkshake, could be concrete, acid, chocolate, vanilla, I don't know. Doxing, fire bombings, Molotov cocktails. Maya Angelou spoke at SMU only a few years before my first time here, didn't need this kind of security. And you can see it if you observe your speakers here.
I have
And
to
I'll
look
tell you
over
why that is.
Overlords or blood lords or
If
whatever
you look
it's
at the
called,
polls
it might be good in this
post-assassination of Charlie
situation.
Kirk, and you label yourself as a moderate, those who identify as liberal support political violence at a ratio of 6-1 to conservatives. The YouGov poll said, is political violence acceptable? 77% of conservatives said not at all. Only 38% of those on the left said not at all. 62% of those on the left said somewhat to completely acceptable. We see the same stats after the attempted
I need a
assassination of Donald
board.
Trump.
I do no damage.
We see the same stats after the fire bombings of the Tesla dealership. And we see the same
I also
stats
have
on
no
the
W
opposite side, those on the right,
points. Kinda
roundly
dumb.
condemning political violence. The lowest you'll find is 72. You usually find it in the high 80s. You will not find a number that breaks half on the left.
Okay. You mentioned Donald Trump. Can we jump back? Can we jump to that for just a minute?
Donald Trump, sure. I assumed
Yeah.
we would.
Well, because I thought that guy was a registered Republican, and then he maybe
Which guy?
donated the guy who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. I'm sorry, I'm really terrible at names.
Oh, Crooks.
Yeah, that he was a registered Republican. So would you consider him a act of violence on the left or on the right?
I would
or?
consider the attempted assassination of a presidential nominee political violence, yes.
Yes.
I don't know if you know this, there are a lot of people on the right who don't like Donald Trump.
Yes, I do know a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Political violence isn't just Republican, Democrat. That's why I say left versus right.
Okay.
Those on the right are more routinely targets, and it's very blatant. People can say he was a registered Republican. That doesn't change the fact that it was an act of political violence carried out against Donald Trump, who's a conservative.
Yes.
Republican, whatever term you want to use.
Well, I guess, but if the argument is the left is violent, and I'm
Yes.
just thinking about this guy's, political background from the person. I hear what you're saying, that the right is targeted more often.
Yeah, we're the victims of political violence.
More often, and
Much more.
So, would you classify that specific incident as violence of the right or of the left?
Well, the target is the right. The target was Donald Trump. So the net result is the same. We are often the targets of violence.
Yeah, but the left.
Including someone who may be a moderate Republican. Yeah, the left is still overwhelmingly violent. And I point to those polls that you can peruse from YouGov, from Reuters, not bastions of conservatism, along with the rhetoric since then. Here's the one thing that you can't point me to. And we can go through the stats. And I know you probably heard from those on the left that actually there's more right-wing political violence. They're often circulating that right now. I can disabuse you of that notion relatively quickly. I think we'd find common ground there. You still can't point me to an example that is comparable on the right of Charlie Kirk, someone who was not an elected official, a public figure who was really notable for nothing more than expressing his opinion and having conversations, who was assassinated in cold blood and then gleefully celebrated thereafter from the left. And I hope that as someone who's moderate, you understand why that's so concerning to us on the right. When we host vigils and memorials, and the left is so completely fearless of their own consequences that they kill one of ours and show up to the memorials and vigils and desecrate and vandalize. That is the information that creates the powder keg.
Yeah, yeah.
The only off-ramp would have been, hey, we kept saying that people like Charlie Kirk, by the way, he was much more moderate than I am. I am Genghis Khan or Attila the Hun compared to Charlie Kirk, but I will have conversations with anyone. I just want to be very clear. So I know that
he's just like, I'm an outright fascist, and he wasn't even as fascistic as me, and people hated him.
We've called Donald Trump and his voters and Charlie Kirk and Stephen Crowder and whoever on the right, Tucker Carlson, take your pick, Sargon of Akkad, everyone. Ben Shapiro, we've called them fascists, we've called them Nazis, we've said that they want to commit a genocide because they don't want to transition children, we've called them racist because they support the police in an era of defund the police, and my God, people out there actually believe it. It's incumbent upon us to tone this down and say, you know what? They're not fascists. We made these people believe that this guy would never relinquish the reins of power. How do you deal with fascists? You can't do it at a ballot box. If I believe that there was an actual government right now that was executing blacks, as the left has said about the police force, if I believed that there was a leftist government that was actually fascist, that would jail any and all political dissidents, if I believed that the left was committing a genocide against white conservative Christian men, and if I believed that that administration would never host a democratic election again, I'd be out in the streets with a gun.
We're like in the middle of the pack right now.
Believe that about Donald Trump
should win this round.
Yeah, I mean, I believe you saying that.
I do 0 damage, but they can't kill me either. We'll get there.
That's very different between the right and the left, isn't it?
I mean, I don't know, Stephen. It feels like it's so polarized right now.
Never mind, we lost it.
It's even hard to find common ground on anything. You know, like
that guy probably healed for like 3 of his health bars that round. That's insane.
The left is violent.
Yes.
Then when I sit down, it's actually the left is politically violent, and so it's kind of it's a modifier, right? We're modifying our conversation a little bit, and so.
No, what I'm doing is matching the intensity and the rhetoric of the left. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have said the right is violent. The political right is violent. And I'm doing what they are unwilling to do, which is sit down and have a conversation. I don't believe it's nuanced. I believe there's black and white, pretty clear-cut good and evil in this one. I believe there's pretty black and white, clear-cut who's responsible for the political violence. But I will discuss it with anybody.
I swear I'm not getting the entropy proc on my
anyway. So I'm matching their rhetoric that I can fit on a sign, but I'm doing the work that the left is not willing to do and having a conversation. But I don't know where we go from. If we have these conversations and short of a brigade coming in, we get assassinated. The left doesn't fear that.
I would disagree, though. I think the left does have their own fears about it. Maybe it's not exactly the same, but I think there's a lot of fear out there. It's just not. It's just different.
The leftist speakers on this campus don't need the same kind of security. They don't.
I'll take note of that. I mean, I've been a student here for 2 years, and I hadn't even paid that much attention. I don't go to a whole lot of events, but I'll take note of that and see what I notice. So.
Well, let me ask you this. Assuming that I'm not lying to you, right, about these polls, and this is one thing, we always, every show that I do, I'm largely a comedian, by the way. I'm an unwilling participant in this. I want to be telling dick jokes in a comedy club.
I do stand-up comedy, too, actually.
Oh, good, okay. Do you do some around here?
I do.
You might know my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond. He does a lot of stand-up in Dallas right now. He has a show coming up.
Cool.
Well, let me know. Maybe I'll be able to look it up, and I can't come out and see a show unless I come out with security, but I'd like to see your material. That's actually even another example. A man who works on my show, a man named Josh Firestein, he was a booker for a comedy, a franchise of comedy clubs. When I performed at the Spokane Comedy Club, it was the first time they ever needed metal detectors and security. He'd been a booker there for many, many years. You had actual registered communists do comedy there. He was shocked and he was ready to hate me. He works for me now because he saw why it was necessary. When you perform on stage, do you need metal detectors? Do you need armed security? I have since I was 19 years old doing comedy in clubs.
No, not since he was 19.
And I don't think I've said anything that necessitates that.
Oh, George was letting me know. I have class at 2.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So how do we fix this then?
Oh, I mean, I think we need to have more civil discourse. I think.
Can't do that. We get shot.
Well, we can. We're doing it right now. Let's
with
not
a brigade.
Be so pessimistic. But Stephen, come on, we have to change our attitudes about it. We can't constantly fixate on the negative stuff. I know it's important and it matters, but we can do it. And just as a
I can do it with $250,000 of security. Most people don't have that.
Most people don't have that. And you talk about like fearing for your life.
Yeah.
I am a female pastor in Deep East, Texas. So on Sunday morning, I wait for that time when someone doesn't like what I said from the pulpit and comes up to me. So I too live with a fear, but it's different for me. And,
do you have metal detectors and armed security?
We can't afford that at my church. We have an old person that sits at the front and says hi and tries to intervene in a way that would be appropriate of a Christian. We thought about bringing security to the church. We talked about it.
We literally can't have these discussions on our side unless we have it.
We have security.
It's a necessity.
Yeah. And I think that's really unfortunate that it's gotten so bad. The state of our country is so bad that we can't even talk to each other without one side or the other having to provide ridiculous amounts of safety and security that maybe aren't even guaranteed.
No, it's true. And I agree with you. It is terrible that we've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
It is terrible that it's exclusively incumbent upon one side to have these types of measures in place. Let me ask you this. Because again, I think that we both abhor political violence. Do you think that maybe when one side is being hunted, let's make no mistake, Charlie Kirk was hunted. When people showed up to my house to try and kill me, I was being hunted, right? Any conservative here is one viral tweet, one effective video away from being hunted.
Yeah.
Do we think that when that happens, and we peacefully mourn the loss of one of our peaceful leaders,
I thought I'd flash.
And we are still approached with violence at memorials and at vigils with desecration, do you think that maybe the both sidesing it, saying it comes from both sides, is actually more harmful than productive? Because it lets the side that's responsible for it off the hook, the clear aggressor.
Ooh, that was nice.
Do I think it's more harmful to say that it's both sides?
Do you think it would be more helpful to call the left out and say, hey, you guys have been saying fascist, you guys have been saying Nazi, you guys have been saying genocide, sexist, and people believe it, and we're seeing political violence now that we both hate. Do you think that calling them out aggressively, rhetorically, might be more productive than saying, well, I guess it happens on both sides right now?
No, I don't, because it kind of reminds me of therapy, where it's not necessarily helpful to point the finger in ways that are counterproductive. Not that I'm not opposed to holding people accountable, because that's a different thing.
No, I understand.
So,
maybe let me ask you then this way, where you say pointing fingers. What is the reason that we record crime statistics?
I don't know.
Would you agree with the fundamental premise that its primary purpose is risk assessment in determining who's most likely to be victimized? For example, and I hear this from the left, transgender or gay sex workers are more likely to be targets of violence than heterosexual sex workers, right? Those studies have come out, and by the way, those seem to be true. So we go, okay, these people are more at risk. The reason for crime statistics is to assess where the risk exists. Otherwise, it serves no purpose.
Okay.
Will we agree with that?
Fair.
Okay.
Sure, I'll trust your information on this.
Well, it's not information. It's just the reason. This is the why. Why else would we have crime statistics? Why would we record them? There's no reason. Just, okay, crime was committed. There's nothing we can do about it now.
I'll just have a history. Is another potential reason, but sure.
What's the value in a history?
But history's so important, Stephen. Come on.
In what?
History matters. Oh my gosh.
But history is important in what?
In everything, right? History repeats itself, but I think it holds to your point that history matters, because you're saying we've seen these
you don't want to repeat
violence events.
Yeah,
and we don't
you don't want to repeat negative history.
Right,
so we agree. That's the reason for crime statistics. So if we look at those statistics and we look at the polls and we see an overwhelming number of those on the left at a ratio of 6 to 1 support violence compared to those on the right, and we see people being murdered in cold blood, if you are conservative, right-leaning in this country and a public speaker, you are more at risk. How is that pointing the finger? It's identifying the problem and not repeating history, no?
Yes. Well, with data, sure. And data speaks differently than I think sometimes people do.
Sure.
And so I think how data is presented matters a lot.
I agree.
So yeah, that's kind of all I really have on that particular thought. Were you wanting?
Well, I think actually, going to that point, the data that's presented, for example, right now in the wake of the assassination, and by the way, not just that, we haven't gone more than 3 days with a serious liberal attack, but a serious leftist attack, meaning in the ideology of the left. You have it right here, ICE, that happened. ICE facility. Yet another one in, I believe, is it Alvarado or Alvarado? I don't know the right way to pronounce it. People were shot there. There was a bomb threat. The ABC affiliate. Okay, all right. It's like Houston, and then in New York they go Houston. I'm like, I don't know the rules. So forgive me. And then I have French-Canadian mom, so I mispronounce things because she taught me English. Nice. And then we look at the ABC affiliate, Jimmy Kimmel. We haven't gone more than 3 days. That's an acceleration right now. And the problem is, amidst that, the left is saying, actually, there's more political violence coming from the right. And that's the rhetoric we've been hearing, and it's dishonest. In other words, data is being presented to the public deliberately, dishonestly, to victim blame. And that's something that we face too, where if you back people into a corner who are avoiding conflict, who are not violent, there could end up being right-wing violence. And when that happens, it's very ugly, it's very effective, it's very swift. And the only way we avoid that is for the left to take accountability of it and for them to tone down the temperature. And by that I mean, right now, and this is where I show you, I think we both agree on this. So the two sources in the data, I don't care if you see my password, are the prosecution project, that's what's cited in The Economist and NPR, and Cato. These are the ones where they say, hey, right-wing violence is more prevalent. I'm sure you've heard that. Let me show you what they don't include in the data, because like you said, people speak differently than data.
Why does he have $1 trillion health already? That's insane.
When was this?
Summer of Love, George Floyd riots. Aaron Danielson, shot point blank dead because he was a Trump voter. And the man, Reinhold, it was Michael Reinhold who shot him, told the cops, I got the Trump supporter, dead. We agree that's political violence?
Yes, of course.
Not a single one of these places cites it. It doesn't exist in their database.
The ones here in your black folder, but not here in this.
No, in there. You have all the sources.
Oh, these ones doesn't.
It's the same thing. The black folder is just those.
Okay.
Yeah. The point is they come from two places. TPP, the prosecution project, or a Cato study, which is reflected by the CSIS as well, where Cato tried to say there's 6 times the amount of domestic terrorism deaths. TPP said right-wing general violence. By the way, all of them agree that in the last year, since Donald Trump has been elected, even now they agree 2 to 3 times more leftist violence than right-wing violence. But that was never included. In other words, when they say there's more right-wing political violence, that's not included as left-wing political violence. You know what else isn't? All the riots, the billions in damages, the 37 dead during the George Floyd riots, the thousands of officers assaulted, the thousands of casualties, that's not included. You know what else is included? Darrell Brooks in Waukesha, Wisconsin, who ran people over in the parade out of an exclusive defund the police, Black Lives Matter, anti-white, black supremacist ideology. That's why he killed them. That's not included. I could go through example after example that where you would just as clearly agree that is political violence. I'm not trying to pick a gray one. It exists nowhere. So why do you think that wouldn't be included in the data as left-wing political violence? Because that's the number cited by the left right now to justify it.
I think we have so much data that it's hard to even, especially in the...
That in the last year, since Donald Trump has been elected, even now they agree 2 to 3 times more leftist violence than right-wing violence. But that was never included. In other words, when they say there's more right-wing political violence, that's not included as left-wing political violence. You know what else? Attack, meaning...
And data speaks differently than I think sometimes people do.
Sure.
You know, and so I think how data is presented matters a lot.
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I really have on that particular thought. Were you wanting?
Well, I think actually, going to that point, the data that's presented, for example, right now in the wake of the assassination, and by the way, not just that, we haven't gone more than 3 days with a serious liberal attack, but a serious leftist attack, meaning in the ideology of the left. You have it right here, ICE, that happened. ICE facility. Yet another one in, I believe, is it Alvarado or Alvarado? I don't know the right way to pronounce it. People were shot there. There was a bomb threat. The ABC affiliate. Okay, all right. It's like Houston, and then in New York they go Houston. I'm like, I don't know the rules. So forgive me. And then I have French-Canadian mom, so I mispronounce things because she taught me English. Nice. And then we look at the ABC affiliate, Jimmy Kimmel. We haven't gone more than 3 days. That's an acceleration right now. And the problem is, amidst that, the left is saying, actually, there's more political violence coming from the right. And that's the rhetoric we've been hearing, and it's dishonest. In other words, data is being presented to the public deliberately, dishonestly, to victim blame. And that's something that we face too, where if you back people into a corner who are avoiding conflict, who are not violent, there could end up being right-wing violence. And when that happens, it's very ugly, it's very effective, it's very swift. And the only way we avoid that is for the left to take accountability of it and for them to tone down the temperature. And by that I mean, right now, and this is where I show you, I think we both agree on this. So the two sources in the data, I don't care if you see my password, are the prosecution project, that's what's cited in The Economist and NPR, and Cato. These are the ones where they say, hey, right-wing violence is more prevalent. I'm sure you've heard that. Let me show you what they don't include in the data, because like you said, people speak differently than data. Remember this in Portland?
When was this?
The Summer of Love, George Floyd riots. Aaron Danielson, shot point blank dead because he was a Trump voter. And the man, Reinhold, it was Michael Reinhold who shot him, told the cops, I got the Trump supporter, dead. We agree that's political violence?
Yes, of course.
Not a single one of these places cites it. It doesn't exist in their database.
The ones here in your black folder, but not here in this.
No, in there. You have all the sources.
Oh, these ones doesn't.
It's the same thing. The black folder is just those.
Okay.
Yeah. The point is they come from two places. TPP, the prosecution project, or a Cato study, which is reflected by the CSIS as well, where Cato tried to say there's 6 times the amount of domestic terrorism deaths. TPP said right-wing general violence. By the way, all of them agree that in the last year, since Donald Trump has been elected, even now they agree 2 to 3 times more leftist violence than right-wing violence. But that was never included. In other words, when they say there's more right-wing political violence, that's not included as left-wing political violence. You know what else isn't? All the riots, the billions in damages, the 37 dead from the George Floyd riots, the thousands of officers assaulted, the thousands of casualties, that's not included. You know what else is included? Daryl Brooks.
You need to elaborate on that
in Waukesha,
casualties
Wisconsin,
thing.
who ran people over in the parade out of an exclusive defund the police, Black Lives Matter, anti-white, black supremacist ideology. That's why.
That's the worst part about this. It's just an opportunity for them to ramble with someone who slightly disagrees with them on the opposite side. That's completely ill-prepared.
I'm not trying to pick a gray one. It exists nowhere. So why do you think that wouldn't be included in the data as left-wing political violence? Because that's the number cited by the left right now to justify it.
I think we have so much data that it's hard to even, especially in the today's. Well, I don't know. That's weird because you're saying in the police recorded call they said
he spoke to the police before they shot him.
So it's on a 911 call. That
so this is on
the Trumper.
Yeah, he was talking to the police. So there's
police cam video.
This is security camera video, and then I believe there's also police camera video and sworn testimony from the police. But he identified as 100% Antifa.
Yeah.
You can look at his social media. He went out there. There are even, I believe, interviews with this man before this was committed where he was talking about enacting political violence.
Yeah.
Did it, clear as day. Are you a Trump supporter? Yes, we've got a Trump supporter. Bang, bang, dead. All the studies from left-wing sources don't include that. Is that bothersome?
Yeah, I do think it is bothersome because we need to have the facts of the situations, any situation, regardless of where it comes from. And you know, you talked about something you said earlier just reminded me of like the media is not portraying things accurately. And that's adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
It's adding so much fuel to the fire.
On that, we agree. And can I ask you, and this is, by the way, there's no wrong answer. This is just an opinion. Why do you think that wasn't included? Why do you think the examples that I gave you, none of them were included? But any example of white on black violence, even if it was a Democrat voter, was listed as right-wing. Any attack on a government building, even if it was Antifa, was listed as right-wing. Why do you think something that clear
was not included?
Would it surprise you if the authoritative source that's being cited, the prosecution project, the author of it, was actually arrested himself on January 20th protesting Donald Trump, committing crimes, and that entire day was also omitted?
Probably not.
A member of Antifa who said we are an organized group and we confront fascists. That's the source that gets disseminated across. It seems that there might be a bias there. And these sources are being used to victim blame those on the right now. Where do you think those on the right go? Where we go, hold on a second, we're actually sitting down and having conversations and we've been attacked and in some cases killed. And then you came to the memorials and the vigils and you celebrated it. A majority of people on the left, not all, not yourself, but too many celebrated it.
I don't celebrate it
No,
that way.
but many did, and we both know that we saw it.
I know you're right,
And then you came and blamed us and said we need to tone it down, and told us that we're more violent with clearly dishonest stats. That's why I say that both sidesing it doesn't help, because you're backing people into a corner, not you, the left, with lies. At a certain point, they're going to push back, and I'm trying to avoid that.
Yeah, so what do you think the answer is then?
I'll tell you what I think the answer is twofold. One, the
Why does
leadership
she
of
feel
the
like
left
such a patsy?
and the majority of the left. I think that the majority
The
of
fact
people
that she
who
didn't even
identify
know
as
his
liberal, the
name.
reason you get those numbers 62 to 65, depending on the day, whether it's Rutgers or whether it's YouGov, I think they support political violence to varying degrees because they actually believe that those on the right are fascist, are Nazis, are genocidists, are racist, are homophobic, are sexist, because every single member of the Democratic leadership has said so. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Walz, Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, every single one has made that comparison. I think it's incumbent upon the left to take accountability, say, look, we have gone too far here. This needs to be toned down. Of course, Donald Trump and his voters are not fascists who won't relinquish power, because he can't deal with fascists at a ballot box. And then I think we also need to, states need to take this upon them, need to change their soft on crime policy. The no cash bail, the IOU policy, where you can simply say, I'll be back in court. Before Charlie Kirk, right, the story in the news was Zarutska, the Ukrainian refugee who was stabbed on that subway in North Carolina by a black man, Carlos Brown Jr. He was let out 14 times. And the last time he was let out by a left judge in the name of social justice, he was deemed unfit to stand trial.
Then he should have went to a fucking asylum.
Because he said he'd be back. He said he killed an innocent woman. You know why? Because, hey, justice is racist. I guess I don't know when it becomes racist, if it's at arrest number 11 or 14 or 6. But that needs to change. Those two things, accountability, change in rhetoric, ownership from the left, which will change the makeup of today's left, make us safer, and needs to change soft on crime policy. And I also advocate that conservatives take an approach of ruthless, lawful self-defense, because we've afforded grace where it is not warranted. What I mean by that is people who attack me and my family, and many of my production members who've been attacked, violently assaulted, have taken the high road for a very long time, and that's why these people feel so bold to come to our memorials and still commit attacks. They need to know they can't do that. I want the left to be able to get up and have these conversations with no security, as they often do. And I don't want anyone on the right to go and violently disrupt it. The left needs to be afraid to come into our groups and commit acts of violence, because we watched entire cities burn down. We watched our own die, and then we watched it celebrated. And unless the left does this and takes this approach, it's going to get worse. There's no off-ramp. That's a genuine concern of mine. People are concerned about radicalizing, right? They talk about radicalization with echo chambers online. And there's nothing more radicalizing than an assassination and a party afterwards.
Yes, no, I agree with you.
That's why I'm sitting down doing this. And to let people know that we're not afraid to have these conversations. Now, of course, you know, we have bulletproof glass and a flak jacket, and it's sad that it's here.
Right.
But it's necessary. That's what I think.
Okay.
Would you disagree with any of those approaches? Changing the rhetoric, taking accountability, and stopping the soft on crime revolving door criminality policy?
This is hard, Stephen, because I just feel like we don't have enough time to even really dive deep into each one.
Well, those are two proposals.
Issues. I know. But I just need more time to process and really consider and to understand what you mean exactly with each thing, because I don't want to.
No cashless bail.
No cashless bail.
Yeah, so you have to
Let's
post
start
bail.
with that.
Okay, you have to post bail.
bail.
You commit a violent crime, you have to post bail. You're in jail. You're not allowed out.
Okay, so no cashless bail, meaning you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to get out without paying any bail.
Without paying any bail, and like
Three-strike policy as well.
Three-strike policy.
3 serious felonies, violent crimes.
Wait, hold on, bail though.
Yeah.
So you're saying if you can't make bail, you can't get out.
Yep. You have to wait for your trial.
No matter what the level of the crime is.
No, if it's a serious felony.
Only if it's a serious felony.
Let's even start with violent crimes.
Like
felonies, violent crimes.
rape, something like that.
Assault, armed robbery,
Okay.
burglary, battery.
I think I could probably get behind that.
Okay.
I could probably get behind that.
Not a single leader in the Democratic Party is. Why?
No.
Yeah.
So we could get behind
No.
that. No IOU policy.
That's
for
just a
discrimination.
straight lie.
You're deemed mental.
Hype up the
Let's use
base.
DeCarlos Brown Jr. as a very clear example. We could use George Floyd as an example, too. He was arrested 6 or 9 times.
Actually, I'm so
Okay, that's fine.
I have to go to class.
Okay, well, please peruse those sources. Your name is Christina. Let me get your last name so if I want to go see your material.
Yeah, well, I perform under a stage name, and I wouldn't say it anyways.
Could you write it down for me if I don't show it to anybody?
I will write it down for you, but you won't be able to find me. I'm not like a big, like,
Okay.
I just started a year or so ago.
Well, I was going to follow up. Maybe if I see it, send you some notes of encouragement because I could have used that when I was starting.
Okay.
If you write it down, I promise you no one will see it.
Okay. But I don't know how you're going to send me anything.
Well, just no vibes, I think is the term that's used now. I'll be watching. Know that I'll be out there going like, hey, go get him.
Well,
But
this is my stage name.
okay.
So,
Thank you. Thank you, Christina.
yes, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Good luck with this.
You too. God bless.
And I am, I just want to say, if it's really inappropriate, if anyone from the left or the moderate is right, we shouldn't be celebrating death. We need to be working together and being united in these things. Together we stand, divided we fall.
I agree with most of that.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Christina.
Yeah,
be well.
you.
God bless.
What? I clicked over here. I clicked.
Well, that was
I
surprisingly
took like 1,000
productive.
damage. I shouldn't
And
have.
I say surprisingly,
That's so
not in the
dumb.
context of change my mind, but in the context of what we see in today's social media highlight reels. I hope that we can keep this up. Let's move on to our next conversation with Madison, like the town.
Allow me to assert the premise today, which is that today, especially in 2025, I am presupposing that predominantly the political violence right now is coming from the left, setting a tenor and tone where everything you see here today is necessary. And if you disagree with that, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
Yeah.
All right, so which part of that, the left is predominantly responsible for the tone of political violence today, do you disagree with?
Well, I have to think that we first have to consider how many people are on the left and what is the true ideology and mythos behind this new occurrence of violence that we see with the left.
Okay.
Of course, I mean, there's potential skews of media. I don't doubt that crime is not happening, but how many people are truly committing crime out of the sake of leftism or out of the sake of radicalism, or could it be plastered on there just to get this ball rolling about narrative? The only other question that I had, a personal question about you is, and it's a tough one.
Well, is it related to the topic?
It is.
Okay.
Would Jesus be on the left or the right?
Well, that's a conversation for another day. We talk about that in church quite a bit. I don't necessarily know that he would fit within the current American left-right paradigm. But I will tell you one thing. Jesus would certainly be against political violence as a form of intimidation or coercion. It seems to me
Interesting
like
you didn't want to have that
you're
conversation.
not
if
disagreeing with the idea
really thought he was on the
uptick
right
that
side of
there is
that.
an increase in political violence from the quote-unquote left. You're just not sure if you define them as left?
Partially, yeah. I just don't necessarily want to just assign political violence or terrorism directly to the left because we see political violence across the world in forms of autocratic or conservative ideologies. So maybe China is a really good example. Arguably
Of leftist violence?
Of leftist violence, especially. Or, well, no, autocratic and conservative violence.
China would be conservative?
I would believe so because they're an autocracy. So they have to practice conservative ideologies to obtain, they can't liberate their people. That's what the left is. That's what liberation is.
Well, I don't know how familiar you are with the CCP, but they're communist. And they did so under the guise of liberating people. And then, of course, you don't actually have any democratically held elections again. So they are communist. They've done so to liberate people, namely from the decadence, the quote-unquote shackles of the Western world. I'm just a little bit, I guess, flummoxed as to how you would define communist China. The Communist Chinese Party is right-wing.
Well, because when Marx wrote his communist ideologies, it was conservative based. He didn't enjoy other people, races. He wanted to eliminate races.
What does it have to do with conservatism?
It has to do with human rights because conservatism isn't looking to liberate people from or define human rights. It's looking to remove human rights, conserving the beliefs of the state and conserving the beliefs of elitism.
Okay, so what if your premise is flawed? So what if conservatism, and I understand, by the way, I agree with you, it means different things across. For example, conservative in the UK. In Canada, you're basically a liberal or a liberal separatist. There's no real conservative party. But in the United States, it's not about conserving the state. As a matter of fact, our Constitution is very unique in that it said the state doesn't grant any rights.
He literally just rambles. Yeah. There was like a part where he was talking like, do you believe in transgender for all? Do you believe in some other like super leftist policy? And he's like, see, you're more liberal. We can agree on that. But every single Democrat in Congress believes those things. And it's like, not even kind of close. Like, it's just an absolute lie. I'm surprised Bubba did.
Now
It's a bit
I'm
confusing.
angry.
No, he does that all the time. What a stinker.
Your will, my hands.
Except he ate Zero's food this morning. Got exactly one.
Rejoice in battle, reckoners! Our armies are home, and our nation enters a new era!
I just don't want to go over my wheels. Right. Down we go.
So it's preserving the Constitution where you are granted unalienable rights, meaning birthrights, by God. And the state only serves to recognize those rights and protect them. And so if the state ever infringes upon the rights that are naturally yours by birthright...
But who
then
assigned natural rights?
Well, again, the founding fathers would be concerned. But natural rights being...
Republican?
Well, this was before the Republican Party.
Am I correct?
This is the Republican Party. But I'm just confused. So you would say that communist China, conservative.
I would say it's autocracy that uses conservative.
Okay. But how is that conservative? For example, you say doing away with races. How is that conservative?
It conserves their power over the state, or over the nation.
So you believe that conservatives want the state to have more power?
I think that we define conservative beliefs by our Republican values. But conservatism across the globe looks very different.
Okay. Well, I agree that different parties, because there's also the Conservative Party, for example, whereas here it's the Republican Party. We're talking about conservatism in the United States. It seems to me that your presupposition is that conservatives, Republicans want more state control, want more government power, as opposed to the Democrat Party, liberals. Okay. That would apply over health care, what you can eat, what you can drive, taxes. They're more left, they're more liberal, more open-minded on the left with those policies. Okay, I would just disagree with that, considering if you just look at marginal tax rates and you look at gun policy, you look at speech policy, you look at energy policy, what you can drive. But going back to political violence, you said you wouldn't want to ascribe the uptick that we both recognize, political violence to the left. What would be required for it to be ascribed to the left? What if they said it was? Like, what if someone's...
I would say, like, I'm looking at this globally.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about here in the United States, because that's what we're discussing. Yeah. Like, what I'm asking you is, what would be required if someone were to commit an act of political violence and you consider it on the left? What if they said it's because they're on the left? Would that count?
I wouldn't say so, no.
No.
I think if somebody is doing an act in towards the left, what side of the left and why? Because what we refer to as the left is now a religion and ideology.
I would agree with that.
This is a secular movement.
Secular humanism,
And,
yeah.
Well, you can really say demonic too, because like a lot of those people are nuts. And to try to return back to their liberalist state, because in some ways liberalists believe that they've been robbed of human rights. It's a radicalism of people.
Right.
Honestly, if the conservatives, like maybe 20 years ago, started assigning themselves the idea of human rights or like, you know, public policy and things like that, there would probably have been a switch around for the conservative movement to be more actually the radical people.
Do you mean like the Civil Rights Act or like
Civil Rights
Emancipation Proclamation, freedom of speech policy, Section 230, Second Amendment? Do you mean those kinds of rights?
Those kinds of rights, but
if the right had been spearheading those?
And probably a little bit more socialist ideals. But of course...
Well, it's not just change the definitions, right? What you can't do, or I would disagree with doing, is saying racist means conservative, because it doesn't, right? Most slaveholders would be Democrat, and I know we would talk about how the parties have switched. You can't say KKK equal, those would be largely Democrats. There's nothing conservative about racism. There's nothing.
Again, I think that we're saying Republican parties and Democratic parties when conservative.
That's what we're doing. We're discussing it here in the States.
Assignment of Republican, because if you want to argue that Republicans were liberating people, wouldn't that constitute as a left nowadays?
Why would that be left?
Because they're liberating people from slavery, and it's a Republican mindset. We don't.
No, I don't see how that would be left at all. As a matter of fact, I think your fundamental flaw that I would argue is this idea that the left is more concerned with individual liberty. That makes sense why you would ascribe conservatism to communism. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who agrees with you. But right now, on the political violence, let me ask you this.
Karl Marx, he was a conservative.
Wanted to do away with the nuclear family, wanted to seize the means of production and distribution. I just won't agree with you that anything about that is conservative. The political violence, the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Confusing conservative with Republican ideals, and the Republican ideal is to protect the family. In some ways, you could say it's conservative.
Sure,
family,
yeah, conservative,
again,
and Karl Marx wanted the state to be in charge of the family.
That is the American perspective on conservatism.
Okay.
But the arrival of like what is liberalism, what is conservatism, we can't assign it to American Republican Party or Democratic Party because people hold left-leaning views in the Republican Party.
Sure.
We can say that Republicans want to liberate the world from war nowadays, at least with Donald Trump's administration, and that the Democratic Party wanted to do more war in, what was it, like Bush's era, right? So what is the confusing?
Well, did you say Bush was a Republican? But I would agree with you.
Maybe is it Clinton? Clinton was.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this: all presidents have been more pro-war than how they campaigned, with the exception of Donald Trump. I think we would agree on that. Political violence, the assassination of Charlie Kirk in cold blood. Would that be leftist political violence?
I think that was a Satanist.
Okay. Darrell Brooks, Waukesha, running people over. He's a black supremacist who wanted to kill cops and white people. Would that be leftist political violence?
And he is a part of the BLM or black supremacy movement.
And would you not consider that among the left? Antifa, would that be considered among the left?
I think that they're assigning themselves a party to assimilate with, but that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't account for leftist values. Because the leftist
so let me ask you, because I don't want to waste too much time on this. How would you curb political violence, right? The whole reason for crime statistics is a risk assessment to see who's most likely to be victimized and prevent it in the future. I get that you're in college, and I understand that things can be kind of nebulous or abstract, but there are real people dying, right? And some of them are people I've known. Sitting in this exact. Okay. So where is the violence coming from in the country right now when you take into account Charlie Kirk? I mean, what just happened here down the road at ICE, or Alvarado, I'm not sure how it's pronounced as well. We haven't gone more than 3 days in the last 3 weeks without significant acts of self-identified leftist terrorism. How would you curb it? If you're going to curb political violence, and it seems like you're not willing to say that anything is political within the paradigm as it's universally recognized, what would you do?
I think people need to go off social media. They're becoming radicalized through that.
Okay.
How much time can you spend on TikTok, like, cycling through the same, like, violent ideologies? Because conservatives can have
I'm banned from TikTok because I said Xi Jinping has a small penis, so that's the Communist Party.
TikTok. I can say Instagram as well.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah. I agree that social media can be very toxic, but we're seeing real acts of violence. So assuming that you can't wave your magic wand and ban all social media.
Are you meaning in terms of like policies, like if I had a seat in?
Well, we need to identify the problem. Where do you think the political violence is coming from more right now?
I think on a global scale.
In the United States.
Both.
In the United States.
In the United States, I can't speak on the United States because I don't think it's just the United States.
No, but that's what the conversation is today. Right. So if you don't want to, that's okay. But I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate the disagreement respectfully. You're never going to get me to say that the Communist Chinese Party is right-wing.
Well, of course, you wouldn't, because like you represent the Conservative Party and the Republican Party mostly.
Well, there's no Conservative Party here. I'm just conservative.
There are examples of people who are carrying out things violently, but it is not just the leftist ideology. It is a religion to something greater. And that's what I just want to assign it, is that because, yeah, of course. And like I've kind of already iterated my points, but.
No, and I think, yeah, and we would agree, Karl Marx loathed religion and wanted to replace it with the religion of the state.
Yeah.
And that's what we see from these leftists, but I appreciate you sitting down, Madison. Thank you very much. Are those furry pants? So that they look...
They're furry pants and what?
Well, they're fur.
Bear pants.
Oh, they're bear pants. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Shoes that are very, very exclusive and rare, but.
So what took you back when I said furry pants if they're bear pants? I didn't mean to offend you. They look like fur.
Well, they are bear.
Okay,
Boston.
they're bear pants.
Are you a fan of Boston?
No. Not very much. I only spent a little bit of time there with the hockey exchange. Montreal, we do an exchange with the Boston, and it's an intensely uneducated and often quite racist people. But thank you very much, Madison. I appreciate you taking the time. God bless.
God bless.
And a moment, if I may, for a brief intermission in the only time I'd be addressing the crowd this day, to issue a new challenge and lay out next steps.
Guys, this will be probably one of the only times that I address you kind of as a mass of people, because these usually end up being individual conversations. But I wanted to take a moment just to kind of communicate something here. When we started Change My Mind, the idea was back in 2016. I think the first ones were in 2017, so nearly a decade now. SMU was one of the very first places. And actually, I believe one of the very first places was me with a sandwich board in Burlington, Vermont, in a morph suit, because it wasn't on campus initially. But the more I went on campus, the more I saw the failures of the institutions. And I want to be really clear about something. This was never designed to mock, denigrate, or dunk on students who don't know any better. It was always designed to highlight the failures of the institutions, because I was dumbfounded.
that actually is a fair point.
This was the first time they were hearing mainstream
the fact that they just let him ramble.
So it was always about highlighting the failures of institutions, not includes media, but certainly academia. And that's why the next step, and something we've been trying to put together for a long time, but no one has agreed to do so, and why I'll be announcing this publicly and reading it out, we're actually going to be starting or calling for formal debates with professors at schools. And the only way we can think to get these people to show up is to offer up $10,000 to the school for whatever cause of their choice, to their institution, and reach out and, oh, Lane, sorry, your phone locked. Where's Lane? Your phone, see, I have to read this off his phone because I just had to get the list. Can you hold it open? All right. And so we have reached out, and any Tom, Dick, Harry, or Karen who will respond and take the $10,000 offered up as a charitable contribution in any of the departments of political science or liberal arts at the University of Texas, at Kansas University, UCLA, Cal, Berkeley, Stanford, USC, Penn, Penn State, Columbia, NYU, Harvard, Boston University, any of their esteemed professors in these schools who are willing to have a debate with a college dropout comedian, they can name the time, the place, pick the moderator and the rules. It should be an easy day out. And I encourage anyone who has any friends at these institutions, or if you have an association, to encourage their professors to do so. Or we can have a civil dialogue and maybe get to the root cause as to why you've been failed as students. You've been failed. It's time to go straight to the top to the people who failed you. We'll announce this publicly and post this list publicly, and I'll update you guys. If anyone reaches back out, no luck yet. I very much appreciate you doing the work that your professors, in many cases, refuse to do. Thank you.
All right, now back to the regular programming, the changing of minds. Meet
Hatchet might have been
Andrew.
better.
So I'm asserting that today,
Some tanky boys.
by and large, the tone, the temperature in this country, and the majority of political violence is coming from the left.
Okay.
And it's reaching a really serious boiling point. I've been observing it for a long time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that violence doesn't occur across the board, but predominantly from the left. If you disagree, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
Yeah, so one thing, I'm curious where you think that political violence comes from, just kind of as a general.
Where the violence on the left comes from?
Just where political violence, comes from, or on the left specifically, either way.
Yeah, well, I can tell you where it comes from on the left exactly.
Yeah.
I can tell you because I've been on the receiving end many times. So the reason I stopped doing Change My Mind for years is because every
on the
single
rounds we
time
win,
out there
we
was
clap
some
them
kind of
so
attack.
hard. But on the rounds we
for
lose,
exactly the kind of
there's like
conversation we're having right
absolutely
now.
nothing we can do against them.
And the ones that you've seen. I don't come out and instigate, but some people yell at me. Rocks, concrete milkshakes, Molotov cocktails, slashing tires, doxing. With Charlie Kirk, you're just seeing one that got through. He had all the security before he was assassinated in an act of leftist terrorism because there were many close calls.
Yeah.
So that then empirically, that the recent polls from YouGov, from Reuters show that a majority of those on the left believe that political violence is somewhat to completely acceptable.
Yeah.
In contrast to the right, so I'll address leftist political violence. If you refer to your political opposition, Donald Trump and his voters, as fascist, compare them to Nazis, say they're racist, they support oppression of blacks through the police force, say that they want to commit genocide and erase trans people because they don't believe that children should transition or biological men and women's sports, they're sexist, homophobic, and say, for example, specifically on Donald Trump, and this is the entire DNC,
most of those things are
national figureheads,
true,
saying, and you won't have another election again.
Yeah.
Because he won't give up the reins of power. If I believe that, I'd be in the street with a gun.
Right. So I guess from my view...
Do you understand that? Would you agree with that kind of premise?
No, I understand where that's coming from. And I think really, like, what has changed recently is there's been more hatred in politics. I guess, can we kind of agree with that?
I think that there's been increasing violence. I think that progressivism necessarily is predicated on divisiveness and hatred. I don't think that's the case with conservatism.
Interesting. I guess what part of progressivism do you think comes with that? I mean, like...
Racial division, gender division, classist division.
Right.
I mean, you don't see the right saying, hey, these people are fascist and they want to genocide you.
No.
And I think it's a necessary because, for example, leftism, socialism, right, you seize the means of production and distribution.
Right, yeah.
That requires violence. Lowering marginal tax rates does not.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there are forms of leftist ideology that have violence inherent in them, but I think there are also a lot on the political left. For example, my siblings, we get along like fantastic, especially in an age where people lose relationships over politics. I'm really thankful to not have that be the case. Have two siblings on the left. Both my parents are moderate political right. And
can I ask you, are your siblings, like, would you say significantly left?
I'd say, as policy-wise, fairly so.
How did they respond to the Charlie Kirk assassination?
Oh, they were like fully in supportive of my devastation at the fact.
How did they respond to so many people on their side celebrating the Charlie Kirk assassination?
Oh, they were fully against that. And
well, that's why you can be friends with them.
Right, and I think at the end of the day, I guess I'll just explain my view a little bit. As someone who's a man of faith and trying to kind of get less into the political sphere and more towards like how can I be bold in my faith. I don't see political violence as the problem. I see it as the symptom, and I think the problem.
I flashed earlier there. That might have.
And I think
maybe
in order to then solve that problem, we need to kind of tackle it from the roots. And I know one thing you talk about.
I even have
for example,
fucking Cleaver. That's
I don't
insane.
disagree with that.
Yeah, I think like we see a lot of crime in inner cities, right? Especially with young kids. That's not the problem. The problem is fatherlessness, right? And the crime is kind of the symptom of that. I think I kind of see this in the same vein, right? Where we see this increasing political violence, and we have the question of like, how do we solve it, right? And I know I heard you kind of talking before, and you said like, well, it's on the left to solve it. But I think
on the left, what was that?
That it's on the people on the left to solve the violence problem.
No, I said it's I said it's incumbent upon them to take accountability for it.
Yeah.
And just even because I want you to continue, but if I may address your point, yes, I do believe that godlessness is the root. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
The root cause of it. Okay. Who seeks to replace faith in the Father with the state? Who seeks to replace God with the state?
I mean, I think it's the ideology of atheism more so than it is a political.
No, it's a political ideology of the left. If you look into Marx and Engels.
I mean, I think that's a symptom, though.
Well, but that is the goal of leftist policies, right? Is replace God with the state. State is your God.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the root of the left.
In some vein, I think that's true. But again, I think religion comes first, and then politics outgrow from that. And it's interesting. So one thing, when Charlie was shot, I was devastated, especially as a young conservative man. It kind of really hit close to home because I was like, he was like an older brother to me, right? Like it was like just like a shocking moment, and like seeing people celebrate it, I was like, they'd celebrate my death too if they cared enough, right? I'm not relevant, but if I was relevant, they'd celebrate my death too.
Yeah.
And I caught myself in the day after. I go, I don't know how we can live with these people, and I'm kind of mad at myself for saying that. And the reason is,
why?
Jesus never lived like that, right?
What do you
His
mean?
followers never lived like that, right? They endured persecution as the cost to spread his message. And I think that as either conservatives or people who are followers of Christ, we're called to do the same thing. And I think that it's not necessarily like awful to say something like this, but I think it can also be kind of pragmatically unproductive. Because I don't think it actually goes at what the root cause is. And I think if we want to tackle... Sorry.
No, that's fine, don't worry. You can mess us all up.
If we want to tackle the root cause, our efforts should be on that, right? Should be on spreading Jesus and like his message and what he taught.
Sure. Well, I agree with that, and we do discuss faith quite a bit. I mean, the show we have Friday Apologetics episode.
Yeah.
But I would say that I would posit that it's misguided.
Okay.
Sell your cloak and buy a sword. Right. Jesus did not ask for his followers to die for their faith as a primary mechanism of spreading the faith. And he did talk about protecting themselves. Jesus conquered death. You can't.
Right.
Now, I know we all conquer death through the salvation, right? But as far as here, that's a very different, and I think that asking people on the right, especially people who are fathers, mothers, to willingly put ourselves out there and endure not only violent assault, but assassination, I just don't know how that's going to solve anything. Maybe you would have a point, and I don't know that I would agree theologically, if after the death of Charlie Kirk, if the left, and I've been saying this, the off-ramp for the left was saying, okay, look, we said that these people are fascists, we said that they're Nazis, we said, and people out there, my God, believe them, we're really sorry, we need to tone this down. Instead, you saw gleeful celebration thereafter. Polls that show a majority of those on the left believe it's somewhat to completely acceptable, and then blaming the right for violence and saying, you guys need to tone down the temperature. There is no living with those people in their current state until they change. They need to be redeemed. And I understand they need Christ to redeem them, but we can't be sitting ducks.
No, I mean, I don't think it's wrong to defend ourselves, but like, if we look at how the apostles taught, right, I think all but one were crucified or exiled for their views, right? Jesus said, not you might undergo persecution. He said you will go under persecution if you follow me, right? I mean, baptism is referred to as joining Jesus in death, right? We have these kind of, we have these very strong, either depending on the situation, metaphors or direct instructions that we will undergo persecution. And the reason that we're able to do that is we know that we're saved through Christ, right? It's the most beautiful thing, right?
And I understand, but this is one thing where I do get off with a lot of modern Christian theology. And I think that you'll probably find more consistent teachings like in Orthodoxy, for example, and I'm not Orthodox or even, what traditionally the Catholic Church, I know there's been splinters, is no one is called to die. No one is called to die. I shouldn't say no one. We are not called to die as a primary means of spreading the gospel. And right now, Charlie Kirk, let me put it this way, he was hunted.
Yeah.
By definition, he was hunted. just as I have been hunted. And you're one viral tweet, you're one viral video, one post away from being hunted yourself. And for us to say, well, let's just deal with them in love. When you look at systemically, right, we'll use the term the left does. Systemically, people who commit violent crimes against us, they're released on the IOU policy.
Yeah.
Right? Cashless bail. Hey, you're not fit to stand trial. Think of Irina Zarutska before Charlie Kirk. That guy was out 14 times. George Floyd, I believe, was 6 or 9 times.
Yeah.
It is an evil, evil ideology that has permeated the halls of our institutions that does need to be dealt with. And I don't think we can deal with that by just turning ourselves into martyrs. I'm willing to be a martyr.
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
No, I don't think you should necessarily want to be. But I think if we're both looking historically as to how the gospel was spread, it was spread through people who were willing to die for their faith.
Sure, willing to die.
In fact, I see it in the same vein as...
Man, Steven, right? I was named after the first martyr. Right? I'm like, thanks, Mom.
I'm Andrew, so also understand.
Yeah.
No, I think that... Sorry, just kind of losing my train of thought. But
that's okay, brother. I get it.
Yeah, so both how the gospel was spread historically through people who were martyred, and then also in kind of modern examples, right? A necessary sacrifice of being a man is being willing to die for others, right? It's not that we want to die for others. It's not that we shouldn't defend ourselves, right? And I think one key thing is, like, Jesus loved everyone, but the way he loved them was not through being passive, right? I mean, very clearly, the way he loved people was by unequivocally telling them the truth, right? And he didn't back down, right? And it got him killed for telling the truth, right? But he also loved everyone, even those who hated him, right? I mean, he spoke out against the Pharisees, he spoke out against other religious
probably the best
hypocrites,
move.
he spoke
Between
out
Thornmail
against
and Divine.
those committing sins, right? And I
Should be
think
able
the
to
same
1v1
form of love that he practiced is what we should try to practice within that. Because at the end of the day, this violence is going to keep continuing.
Yeah.
And
do you mean like sitting down at a table and allowing anyone who will discuss it to listen, having a dialogue like this?
I think you're doing exactly what
Because we get killed anyway.
Right.
You know what else you need to be willing to do? Not just willing to die.
Yeah.
Willing to fight.
Yeah.
Willing to kill if it comes to it. I'm not talking about going out and killing people in the streets. I'm talking about you are called as a Christian man. I'm assuming you're not married.
Correct.
Otherwise, you just moisturize.
Not yet.
You are called to protect your family with your sword. You are called for righteous violence when needed. And people have misconstrued what I've said, where I've said that.
Create spellbinding campaigns with full funnel advertising.
%, of target's health. I used my item. That is absolute dog shit. I hate tanks. I did 73,000 damage.
We're back in my hometown, Orangevale, California.
That's right, the place I'm sometimes proud and sometimes ashamed to have grown up in. Today, we'll be walking around like we own the streets, because basically we do. And it all starts at a place I've been wanting to visit for a long time.
Dishes. Eat
In the shadow of the Orangevale sign, Leandro.
Yeah?
The storied establishment, Dirty Nick's Garage.
Dirty Nick's.
Okay, I'm not gonna be on camera. I don't know what the hell.
Ah, Dirty Nick's. Some of Orangevale's finest sons. We just wanted to talk to the great Dirty Nick. Ow!
Somebody that could represent Dirty Nick.
I might be able to
Thank you so much.
I want a guy covered in engine grease with his hair beginning to dreadlock.
Oh,
My man.
There he is.
What's cracking like it?
We well, first of all, this is awesome. Is this for guys?
It's, what do you call it? Unisex?
Unisex? All right, I'm taking it.
Wait, was that a dig at my buddy Leo?
You called me gay?
I didn't say nothing. I said it's universal.
Universal.
How many degrees of separation are you away from Dirty Nick? Is he like?
Oh, he's the owner. So I'm the manager. So.
Hell yeah. Okay, so you're almost.
That's 1 degree separation away from Dirty Nick. That's close to the source.
Absolutely.
Why do they call him Dirty Nick?
Dick, he had used to do cars, custom cars. Like, you know, the rat rods. That was his favorite thing to do, was build those.
Sounds like something somebody dirty would do.
Yeah.
Build rat rods.
Look dirty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he just took that name, Dirty Nick.
Very nice.
It wasn't because Nick contracted herpes in college?
I didn't know him back then, and you know, if he did, I'm not drinking out of the same cup.
I wouldn't either.
Karina.
We mean no harm. You can come on in.
Yeah.
You look great, by the way. I hope you're not Dirty Nick's woman.
I am.
You are.
Yes, I am.
See, now you're now what are you talking about? You're like this, that, now this, that.
I want to apologize. He mentioned that he might have gotten his nickname because he contracted herpes in college.
It's possible.
We want to know, is there any kind of loyalty program? Do the people who come to this garage call themselves, say, the Dirty Nickers?
It's
got a ring to it. I've been called a lot of shit, but not a dirty nicker.
What do you think annually? How many people visit this thing?
Probably us and one other guy. One other guy who got drunk at 10 a.m. at Jan's Lounge, and he wound up here thinking it was a donut shop. Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
So, my name is Danny. I'm a YouTuber, and I'm actually from Orangevale, California. According to ChatGPT, I am the most famous resident of this city. That's actually, sadly, not true. ChatGPT for Orangevale celebrities lists like a rower and a fucking motocross guy. So Leo and I had to manually punch in Danny Mullen's better than all of them, and then it humored us by putting me at the top of the list. Also, guys, a completely unrelated announcement. I am back on Cameo. So if you want me to roast your friends, your fantasy football buddies, just send me a Cameo request, make it as specific as possible about the guy you want me to trash, and I will.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I can't disagree with you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Kate, would you like to tell us a little bit about the history of Orangevale? I feel like I don't understand what my hometown is all about.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, your hometown started in 1888 with 6 men from Sacramento decided to buy 3,200 acres and split it into 10-acre parcels. They advertised all over the United States, primarily in the Midwest and the East.
The land of sunshine and orange groves. Come here to live the American dream. It's warm. Well, yeah, right now it's about, I think it's going to be 104 degrees out today. So the warmth part, they weren't exaggerating about that. A little donation to the museum, Kate, that feels in order.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have a lot of disposable income because, you know, I'm a famous resident of Orangevale and all. Hey, is this Orangevale open? That's where I went.
Of course.
Did you?
I did, yep.
That's the original Orangevale Elementary School, yes.
Are any of these people still alive, Kate?
Not that I'm aware of.
Education at the heart of Orangevale.
And here we go, Casa Roble Fundamental High School. I am also a graduate.
Okay.
2008, Kate. 2008.
Got the
Are all of these people still alive?
Well, hopefully most of them are.
I hope
take
so.
it.
Class of 1967.
This guy with the mustache, he looks like a drinker. If I had to wager, I would say his liver gave out about 10 years ago. And I think that this would have been the lone survivor because, you know, the Japanese,
You know,
known for their longevity. But he also could have been sent to a camp. In 1939, they weren't taking very kindly.
Sent to a camp. We do have his family history.
That's so funny they brought that up.
Oh, well, you know, I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. If he was passing information to the Japanese about the layout of Pearl Harbor, maybe it was warranted. Are you sure about that, Kate?
I'm sure. We have talked to the family. They no longer live in the area, but they, you know.
Are they too good for Orangevale?
No, you know, I think it's where they ended up after the camp.
Okay, so that's nice.
Camp Schmamp. Kate, I am a bona fide superstar, and I still make time for Orangevale, California.
Dunkin' Refreshers. Available in all new Blueberry Breeze. Mango pie.
So there was a football scrimmage going on at my alma mater. As you can tell, this school doesn't exactly feed into the Ivies.
Nah, it doesn't seem like it.
Tighten up that spiral, boy.
Tighten it up.
Still a little wobble. That's a goose. How's it going, my man?
What's up, Coach?
I was a defensive assistant under Sandusky. Here to whip these kids into shape. Yeah.
Oh my God, Danny Mullen!
That's right, kids.
Yo, how were the riots, bro?
The riots were great. More importantly, how we shaping up for this season?
I'm pretty new, but I'm pretty excited. Glad you're back.
You want testosterone or anything, dude? You look like a little jack.
Oh, dude, the one day I wore my wife beater, man.
No, I like that.
Thank you.
I like you wearing a wife beater.
Like it?
I want you to put hands, not on women, though, but on the defense of Del Oro.
No, I actually play D-side.
Actually clutch as fuck.
Then on the quarterback's jaw.
That's a good one.
I want you to put your helmet on his testicles.
That's even better, dude.
What position do you play?
Knock him up. Oh.
DN.
You're a little small for a DN, aren't you?
I got moved to it.
Between me and you, we gotta take this kid down to GNC. I'm talking creatine. I'm talking cytogator.
I take creatine already.
That's good, but we need to stack that more. We need to stack that with a little bit of trend, and then you and I need to take a trip down to San Diego, cross the border into Tijuana. What unit are you in charge of out here?
Receivers, bud.
How are they looking?
Good.
How are their routes?
Solid.
How are their hands?
Solid.
How are their yaks looking?
It's hard to build with Mirage play, honestly,
Yak
because
tutties?
honestly,
Yak
lethality
tutties,
goes
coach?
hard,
You look
but
like a wide receiver.
No, linebacker.
attack speed is
Don't
so
take any offense, it's
necessary.
okay. Nothing wrong with being a wide receiver.
Bro, shake my hand, bro. You're aura, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm trying to help you guys out.
Aura. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
If you guys match up with El Camino in the playoffs this year,
It's bad, man.
what does El Camino mean in Spanish?
The pathway or like the walkway.
It's going to be the pathway to the hospital once you guys get done with them.
Yep.
They beat them 70-0 2 years ago.
70-0.
That's just me.
Are you Jeremy? Jeremy Freitag? Danny Mullen. We used to train martial arts together.
In a fighter's life, one fight can define an entire career. For Jeremy Freitag, that fight comes on April 16th.
Yeah, dude. All right.
I didn't recognize you in the outfit.
Jeremy,
and you're like, you know, it's been about 10 years at least.
You look good, man.
You do too.
Here's what's going to go on right now, Jeremy. You and I, to make sure these kids fear God.
You grew up good. It's good to see you, man. It's been a long time.
That language makes me a little uncomfortable, but I'm gonna roll with it. Jeremy, here's what we're gonna do. To put the fear of God in these freaking kids, you and I are just gonna start whacking them in the face. Yeah, Jeremy is the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Really?
Oh. Show us some shadow boxing, coach. Oh, yeah. Oh.
God damn. Real quick.
This kid right here with the Ray-Bans needed that.
Knock him out, dude.
The school over here, you remember the school that we saw in the one room, that's the second school.
Kate, they could have used a little DEI, don't you think?
And they
a little.
had just 2 teachers and 2 rooms.
Oh, wow.
And the classes were 1st through 8th grade.
So my friend just said that he thinks the class is remarkably undiverse, but I'm going to be honest. For 1931, we have an Asian woman.
Okay.
She could be of Indian heritage.
It's true.
This kid right here, it's a little hard to tell. He could either just have a deep suntan or he could be Chinese. Does it make you a little melancholy sometimes, Kate, to see this? The school that I went to and I thought my life was so special and I was so important chasing balls around the playground. But all of these kids lived and now have died before I even attended the school. It just makes you realize your own impermanence.
In 1932, all those kids were, just scratching because that was during the Depression. They were living through some hardships at that time, but they still went to school. Their parents still sent them to school.
That's good.
This is the desk for the school.
Wow. Leo, if you had been born about 100 years ago, you would have sat at this desk and gotten an F in arithmetic.
You know, I would have been a big boy, though. I don't know if anybody else would have fit.
There's a nice little inkwell back here.
I see that.
And a little pen, you had to use the ink pen. You've heard about the people who would dip the girl's hair.
Of course. Oh, that would have been him. He would have been tampering with women's hair. He would have no doubt wrote them smutty notes, too. He's got a filthy Italian mind, Kate.
Yeah, they would have been romantic, Kate.
And this is one of the first phones in Orangevale.
Good job, right now. Freitag, this kid right here has been eyeing us like he doesn't like the cut of our jib.
I was in one of your videos a few months back.
Hey, you got a problem with that? I'll let Freitag knock your head off with a left hook.
Oh, shit.
What are you, you're gonna ask me to blur you now? Was your privacy violated? You're a good kid. What video?
It was the one where you went to the Lego store.
Oh, hell yeah, you're there.
Wait, you were in the Lego shop?
Yeah.
Freitag, we gotta cut this guy. He's more into playing with little bricks than he is. You play defense?
Yeah.
What position?
The end.
He's more interested in playing with Lego bricks than he is rushing the QB. We need to speak with the offense.
This guy's offensive warrior. You want to speak with offense? He's right here.
That's an offensive warrior right there? No, he's locked in. I don't want to talk to that guy's so locked in on the game. We got kids back here in Nirvana shirts. What happened to the dress code? I also don't love the open-toed footwear.
Take a fucking lap. Take a fucking lap. Take a fucking lap.
Yeah! That's right! To the house! To the house! Yeah! Let's go 76! Let's go 76! Take it home with you! Take it home with you! See, here's why I don't like the open-toed footwear. What if there's a bench-clearing brawl and you guys got to rush out there and protect your quarterback?
Listen. So, the fact with these, right, you get to grip the end, and then that gives you enough speed to get out there fast enough, right?
You know what I really don't like? When kids in Nirvana shirts bullshit me. Hey, that is not a starting block.
We need a quarterback.
Hey, you don't need a quarterback no more.
Danny Mullen and Oh my God! Oh my God!
This kid's got the golden arm.
Golden arm.
Has he taken the Wonder Lick yet, Cody? No. I want to know how his mind works. I like this kid. This kid is a menace on prom night.
Oh, he is.
This kid is a prom night menace.
I gotta go for him. Good.
Look at, I love that for a quarterback. I like him locked in, baby.
Focus, baby.
I want you proposing to her by senior year.
That's this year.
Propose or pregnant?
You better get busy. Propose or, well, get the ring on first. No shotgun weddings for my QB1.
Yeah.
So what do we have in here, Kate?
Well, this is our newest exhibit. It's on the Orangevale Women's Club. Mary Calder, which is our other lady standing over here, is the person who started it. And her and her husband were actors.
Wow, that was actually such good.
London, by boat to the United States, and were quite famous. They settled here in Orangevale and had two.
Paved the way for you, Danny. They paved the way for you to perform.
Kate, I have a question. Did Mary and George ever...
No.
They look pretty cute together, I'm not gonna lie.
No, because Mary had William, who was the actor husband. As you can see, was really cute.
She was. And she's...
That was taken back in the 1800s.
She's really cute.
Probably 85 to 90.
You know, dare I say, she's beyond cute, Kate. She's hot. She is sexy, to use the parlance of the kids of today.
Yes.
She's fire.
It's fire.
She's her.
A fine shit, as they say. The kids, they're saying.
There you go, bud. Oh, you run hard, John.
Girls, give these kids some space. Don't be chasing contracts now. I know they're going to be making a lot of money, driving fancy cars. You still got to act like a lady. All right? Give them their space. Don't blow up their phones. Don't hop the gate at their house. You girls look like a bunch of max contract
2
chasers.
seconds.
She's operating the drone. Look at that's how seriously she takes her scouting. She's looking for the guy. She's looking for the twitchiest receiver she can find.
That's wild.
She's measuring his routes from above. Does he cut it off too early? Is he getting open for his quarterback when the pocket gets muddy? She knows that'll translate to dollar signs. All right, girls, keep at it. Chase those contracts. I changed my mind.
Good luck.
Are you guys freshmen? They haze you guys yet?
What?
Hazing. You guys get hazed?
Bullied. They put you in a locker. You know.
Oh, that's happened after the game.
They put your jockstrap up on the flagpole.
Anything like that?
Not like
Pants you in front of the cheerleaders.
You ready to be pants in front of a cheerleader?
I wish. Bad kid.
Bad kid. Got confidence.
I like it, dude.
I like my offensive players to have confidence. How your grades, kid? 3.8? I knew I liked this kid. I want you to keep your nose to the grindstone. There are a couple girls over there. They notice your talent on the field.
They're cleat chasers. Cleat chasers.
Big time cleat chasers. They know you got the GPA to get into the elite football powerhouse programs. And they're going to want that coin you make. That NIL money.
How long you playing catch for?
You got somewhere to be, kid? No, because you're second string.
Actually does a trillion damage.
Native American.
And I couldn't help but notice these grinding stones right here.
Right. We have a well-hidden stone corral.
He could find it.
See, this is what your people left behind. This is, and you know, then Danny's people,
And
you know,
we
more
have
structure.
a real small one that we let the kids play with
Oh,
when
that's
they
cool.
come in to grind.
Nice.
You know,
and they find out what it's like.
the kids need to be careful because our cameraman confided to us, the grinding stones are cursed.
Yeah, they are.
Tahita says they're cursed, and we take his word for it because, you know, he's one of them.
Yeah, he knows things that we don't know.
And we saw a kid once playing in one of the grinding stones. Oh, look at me, Daddy, I'm Pocahontas. And then he got on his BMX bike and he tried to ride home. The front tire fell off and he got smoked by a car out there on Franklin.
Yeah,
well.
really sad.
I think Tahita, our cameraman's grandfather, got with her.
Well.
Oh, this is Hawak. He told you stories about Hawak before he died, didn't he?
Yeah.
Hawak?
5 years ago, you know.
Hawak was the noise she made before she performed fellatio.
Oh.
Hey, so this is great because, you know, I was part of the Powwow Day parade a little while ago. I was in the parade. Yeah, some said we ruined it, but I think we made it a lot better.
Well, the parade went on, until the pandemic, and then after that, it never was revised again.
Wow, we were part of the final Powwow Day parade. What great timing, Leandro.
Wow. You think it is?
2019, that's when we did it.
2019, oh really?
That's when we did it, Kate.
Really?
You think we're the reason it no longer exists?
I think they factored that in.
I think they factored that in.
Face that way, fellas. To the parents, to the parents.
Look at the parents, kids. These are the people who made you the men you are today. And in their honor, I want you to have no fear of contact today. I want you to spear an opposing quarterback in his testicles.
This is war!
And then I want you to swoop in and put a cleat on his throat after he's down.
Block his airway, kill him.
Who are you? Hey, that's too nice. Game face on. Game face.
Hey, give me a second.
All right, let's do that again. Take two. Who are you?
Oh, come on.
Damn it. All right. One more take, one more take.
Hey, you got this, game face.
Who are you?
Transform trillions of signals into relevant reach.
Chevy makes America's most dependable trucks. Because in a Chevy truck, dependability comes standard. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Well, we're at Jan's Lounge, the most Orangevale bar in all of Orangevale. And true to form, there's mic issues at our stand-up show.
Outlaw's actually
let's go in.
probably a lot better.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude, right here.
Kill that parade.
Yeah, I'll go Outlaw. I'll be able to get it up fast enough for my Mirage Blade.
All right. This is well attended. This is well attended. Hello, hello.
How's it going, man? How's it going?
The mic thing is giving me even more anxiety now.
I gotta save my ult for Zeds. Might have.
Testing, nothing. Testing. Oh, yeah. We got a f***ing more.
So, the crisis.
Yeah, it's averted. What's up, everybody?
Really quickly, we were told there's a problem, guys. We might have to cancel tonight. The microphone, it isn't working. Well, I guess the problem was somebody didn't plug it into the speaker. Yeah. Game on, motherfuckers!
What's up, my man? You got a f***ing unibrow and a half, dude. I'm gonna tell you right now. Can we shave that thing on stage, dude? Where are you from, dude? What's your background?
Well, I'm from Philadelphia.
Nice.
My parents are Indian.
That's cool. That's cool. Your parents are probably killing it then. Indian people always kill it.
They are.
You guys f***ing stink, though, dude. If I'm being honest, just kidding.
What the fuck?
What's up, brother? What, dude, I can't tell your race. Not even. I have no idea what you are, but you could. Are you part black? Yeah, dude, we got a black guy here. We got a black guy here. Dude, that is tough, dude. That is our demographic. We got one, dude. Yeah. The guy coming to the stage now, he's a giant piece of shit, dude. Danny!
Tripping out on this guy filming me right now. This is good. This is a healthy place for you to use your camera, as opposed to where he usually uses it, the women's restroom.
I'm just gonna take her next ult in. Fuck
Jan's
it.
Lounge, how we doing? A stand-up show, isn't that great? Usually the only events that go on here are Proud Boys meetings. Stand up tonight. I think we got a couple Proud Boys playing shuffleboard right now. I wanted to join the game. I gotta go out in my car and get my white hood though. Orangevale, California. We got a bunch of hot MILFs in the back. I could have one of these MILFs over at Dairy Queen, get a blizzard in her. Get some sustenance over at Alberto's, be getting sucked in the Casa Roble parking lot before midnight. That's how it goes. Nice banana shirt. that same banana shirt. That's why I felt safe calling him a Also because we're in Orangevale city limits, so you can call anybody a really. It's a safe bet. It's fine. It's how you get elected mayor. Instead of shaking hands and kissing babies, you're just like, can I count on your vote this fall? Who's been to jail here? And half the bar raises their hands. The Ukrainian girl? Russian, excuse me. See that, guys? That's good. That's good. We're shattering the glass ceiling one uppercut at a time, ladies. That is really nice. Domestic violence goes, was it the gentleman sitting next to you you clocked? You hit him? Oh! Hell yeah. Well, they're Eastern Europeans. What did you expect? What did you expect?
Troll that.
I mean, their life expectancy is
Probably.
22. They
I don't know what else I could do. Oh boy, did she have it?
They're drinking every night like somebody with a fucking machine gun is behind them,
so
telling
close.
them to charge the enemy. I mean, they got new. Have you guys seen Enemy at the Gates? That's how it works in Russia. Sorry, I don't mean to get too personal. What's that? I wish you guys would recreate what the Russians and Ukrainians are doing currently and kill each other. What's up, sir? The nursing home is actually that way.
Yes, Rocket Money cancels subscriptions, but it also gives you total control over your finances.
Wait, how?
So do you ever feel like you have no idea where your money goes?
Yeah.
So Rocket Money quickly tracks your income, bills, and expenses to give you the clearest picture of where your money's going. Yep. Download Rocket Money today.
Americans don't understand British food. Well, hello, you gorgeous donut. For years now, Americans have been coming to the UK shores and criticising our food. It's a well-known fact in America that British food is terrible, and in this video, we're going to discover why Americans think this. I've got a collection of Americans trying our food, and we're going to rate if their opinion actually holds weight.
So, Klein's has bought me this apparently like Christmas classic for British people. It's a chocolate orange. We're gonna review some weird British food.
Okay, right. First off, I'm not a personal fan of Terry's chocolate orange. I don't know why I don't feel like fruit and chocolate should be mixed together. But I can understand the craft behind it.
Maybe with orange, but like literally every single other fruit.
If she doesn't like this, I won't be offended. As long as she, smashes it like how you're meant to do, and then eats it.
It's huge. Look at that. An actual full-blown chocolate orange. Apparently it's made with real orange oil.
What the f are you doing, love? What's that? You don't eat it like that? Christ! Trying to give us a heart attack there. Blood pressure's through the roof. Cheers, love. I'm trying to keep it down at the minute. I'm in the middle of moving. Why would you look at it and think, oh yeah, I'll just eat it like that? Do you eat an orange like that? Who eats an actual orange like that? So why would you take this structure into a chocolate orange? It makes no sense. Why would you eat it like this? It's like people who eat a cheese string, but like, as if they're playing, is it a fiddle or a flute? I don't know. We're just eating it like this. I've seen it done. In the flesh, right? Traumatized. Why would you think this is the acceptable way to eat a Terry's chocolate orange? Come on. Terry hasn't been seen since this dropped. Terry's had enough. Bloody hell, man.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Ow! I would be a little bit overwhelmed the first time that I, eating a Terry's chocolate orange. It is a very off-putting. Or it's very, that you have to have thought behind it, okay? There's steps to do it. You can't just eat it. I understand it's a little bit difficult. But I wouldn't even give a thought to eat it this way. It wouldn't even be in me top 10 ways to eat it, I'm afraid. What are the comments saying? Biting into it like that is a crime. You had the audacity to call it weird and then bite into it like that. It's a classic. Yeah, that's very true. You can't call it weird and then eat it like that. There's people in the comments saying they're crying at this. Like, this woman has ruined people's weeks. Arguably could have ruined some people's Christmases already. Okay, we've started off with a bang. I don't think I'm going to hold this woman's opinion with much weight. Judging she didn't really give the Terry's chocolate orange a chance.
We're here at New Cavendish Street and Great Portland Street. Gotta try from Greg's.
I mean this in like the nicest possible way, but like I've never seen a more British person that is American. Do you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't look American, she looks British, and I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. Like, I feel like I look British. Like, if I just suddenly had an American accent, I feel like it just wouldn't fit my face. I feel like this is the same with this woman.
Sausage roll for the first time. Okay. This is what it looks like. That's good.
That's how you know someone really likes something. Like, if they instantly go, oh yeah, it's bang, and you're like, I think you're lying for the camera here. When you give it the, when you're eating something, like, I've got a drink here. When you drink it and you go, oh, It's like that moment of silence, that recognition. Like when you're in a restaurant and you give the fork the old... Someone cooked it in. Right, literally. I feel like there's going to be a lot of Greg's trying. I don't know why Greg's is such a staple piece of just British food to Americans. There's definitely going to be more Greg's videos. I don't know if they're going to go down as well as this one, though.
Trying British food for the first time ever. One's English fish and chips. That fish is massive kinda sketch. Tastes exquisite, very scrumptious in its 710.
I don't think that's Chip Shop Chip, is it? I don't think he's got... He must have got this from a chip shop because, you know, he's got the battered fish like that. But they don't look like Chip Shop Chip, right? I know an Aunt Bessie chip when I see it, and I'm staring at an Aunt Bessie chip right now. I'm not staring at a fish and chip shop chip. Whoever produced this meal is a faker and a disgrace to this country. How could you feed an American this? Now he's going to rate this and put it across all of us.
For some reason. Dipped in British tartar sauce. Super crunchy, utterly delicious, and at 8/10. 3 shepherd's pie with gravy sauce. Who is Shepherd?
I don't think it's like an actual person called Shepherd. It might be. I'm doubting myself now. I feel like I need to Google this. Why am I Of course it's not. I'm going to Google this, but just pretend I'm not. Right? Just pretend I knew all along. Yeah, it's called shepherd's pie because it's got sheep in and, like, you know, it's a sheep herder. Definitely didn't Google that. Not at all. Just off the top of my head. All stored in here it is. Get me on the chase, right? I'd bash that. That's never been said on the chase, I don't think. It is endearing that this guy believes that the person who made this is called Shepherd, though. As if, like, you know, we've also got pies like Andy's pie, Derek's pie. Oh, you've got to try Derek's pie. That sounds kind of wrong, actually. Don't want anything to do with Derek's pie.
Good job, Shepherd, in an 8.6 out of 10. For a banger and mash. This meal cost me $26.
$26 for bangers and mash.
Very underwhelming.
Did the pig sacrifice itself for that meal? $26 for bangers and mash. You've been absolutely porked out of a deal there, son. Absolutely schmundingle. $26 for bangers and mash. That's meant to be one of the cheaper options on the menu, isn't it? It's just sausages and mash and gravy. And maybe a little bit of veg if you're lucky. Bloody hell.
Not a banger at all. 5.2 out of 10. 5 English mashed potatoes in it. Dipped in authentic English gravy. In top-notch conditions, 8/10.
What makes something authentic British gravy as opposed to non-authentic British gravy? Is it like, you know, on StockX where like they authenticate like the products that they're selling? I have no idea. Does some gravy not pass the verification process? That's alarming. I hope I haven't had any inauthentic British gravy on these lands. Starting to guess myself.
This is a British McDonald's. I'm American. Let's go try it out. So far, it looks pretty standard on the inside. A McPlant? Is that European? Can I get the most European McDonald's item you have?
Just order a burger, mate. Imagine, like, anyone who's watching this who works in, you know, anything to do with catering or food or whatever. Someone came into the restaurant and went, "Can I have the most European thing on the menu?" You'd be like, "What?" Sorry, was that a sentence? I don't know. European? I don't know if we have any European things on here.
Thank you very much. Bada boom, bada bang. Grilled barbecue bacon wrap. This is like a two-hander, if you know what I'm saying.
Check out these deals of the week at Walgreens.
Oh, what the? Oh my God, it keeps going. Almost choked.
That's what she said. No, it's not. That's terrible. You know what? You saw I was delayed with my joke to it. I was like, should I say that? No. And then I went ahead and said it. I ignored all the signals, and that's a red flag.
Almost choked. Chicken cooked weirdly. 7 out of 10. McCrispy. Oh my God. And bacon. 8.5 out of 10. Halloumi fries. Are these just mozzarella sticks? Bro, just a mozzarella stick. 5 out of 10.
I think mozzarella and halloumi are two total different cheeses, my friend. I mean, if it's called a halloumi stick, surely it's halloumi in it, not mozzarella.
Egg. McFlurry. Oh, sweet baby. Oh, 10 out of 10. Woo! Ice cream machine was not broken today.
Let's go, boys! Let's go! Oh, God, yeah!
Alright, so I'm in Myers Keswick, New York City, with Goonie Dad himself, from the UK, and he tells me I have to buy this and dip my steak in it. Coleman's of Norwich Original English Mustard.
Oh, well, this is going to be an experience. For anybody that has tried this, they will know. This absolutely, you know, it rips your nipples off, to put it lightly. You know, it's as if someone literally just goes up to your nipples and goes...
No, not like this.
That's what this feels like. Even a smidge of this. Oh, I love you smelling your ancestors. I don't even know what that means, but it will.
Alright, got a nice piece of steak. Got a little bit of the Coleman's mustard.
That's a lot.
Let's give it a try.
That's a lot.
Alright, gonna dip it in here.
Oh. No, he's not good. He's not good. He's defeated before he's even begun. Trust us, that's too much. For a beginner, that is far too much. It's like you can't swim and you've jumped in the deep end and nobody's there to help you. That's the situation this man finds himself in, and he's none the wiser. Apparently he's got a British friend there. British. That's all that's there. Not a friend. No friend would put a friend in this situation. Friends don't lie, as 11 once said.
No. It smells spicy.
Oh, mate, you are f***ed. You are
Oh, wow. That's spicy. My tongue is like tingling. That's like a really, really strong, like a spicy mustard.
Yeah, look at his
72 ability haste. That's actually so good.
Pause for like a second where he was like... Has anyone done that where they've ate something where they didn't expect it to be as spicy as what it is? You just instantly regret that you ever put that in your mouth. You just know that you can't stop what's coming. It's one of the worst feelings ever. You're like... Honestly, this is so spicy. I think his top bun is just gonna fall off. Like, genuinely, it's gonna run off. You know, like in The Simpsons, where Snake has the evil hair and it just kind of latches itself onto people. That's what's gonna happen with this hair now.
Okay, we absolutely love the mustard in the steak. But the question is, what else does the Coleman's mustard go on? Let me know in the comments.
I don't know.
American girl living in London. I'm trying the Greg's sausage roll for the first time.
Come on.
What?
So a couple months ago, I went there and I tried the
What?
pizza, which I
Killed
thought was
me.
good. And
I wasn't even
everybody
near
told me,
anybody.
Don't go there and not
That's
get
insane.
the sausage roll. So I'm gonna try it. It was only £1.55, which I would say is a steal, but also makes me feel like it's made from trash.
I've never seen anybody complain that a sausage roll isn't more expensive. That's a good thing, that it's cheap.
Let's see what's up.
Banging. Oh, straight away she doesn't like the texture. You can see on her face. Nah. Is that good?
I don't like it. That's just no. It's a no for me, dog. 2 out of 10. Pizza.
Well, I don't like you, so what you got to say about it now? How dare you come to my land, yes, my land, and you slate the very thing that this whole country's built on. How dare you, under my roof, you slate the Greg sausage roll. I'm not having it, love. I'm putting me foot down. You can't see, but it's down and it's staying down. I have never seen anybody say that they don't like the Greggs sausage roll. It's wildly renowned that the Greggs sausage roll is the pinnacle of sausage rolls. You can't get any better than the Greggs sausage roll. Okay, love? Yes, you can get, like, you know, ones that are infused with sage and all of that kind of extra shit. But when it's a sausage roll by itself, you can't get better than Greggs, alright? I would defend that sausage roll with me life. Well, maybe not with me life. You know, if someone was like going towards a sausage roll and was like adamant that they wanted to like stab it up, I'm not gonna jump in the way of that. But you know what I mean? I feel some sort of emotion towards them. I was thinking the other day, shows how boring my life is, I was thinking how many Greggs sausage rolls have I actually consumed in my life? And I was trying to count. Don't know why. I live a very boring life, I think.
Ow! What is that? What is this?
That's a Savoy.
What's a Savoy?
And like a sausage?
A sausage with French fries. Oh, gosh. I don't even like American hot dogs. What? With ketchup and mustard?
By the way, I have such nice memories of Savoys. My like nana used to take us to a place called Dixon's. I don't know if this is just a northern thing. It's like a butcher's kind of shop where they sell basically just meat, I think. But she used to take me in there and used to like order like one Savoy, and it would come in like just like a little plastic packet, and I would hold it like this, so I would literally just have like this floppy sausage. I'd have like this floppy sausage in me hand, and then I'd just like chomp on it. I don't know why it's that. My brain's trying to make us think this is weird, but it's not. It's literally just a sausage in your hand. Nothing wrong with a sausage in your hand, guys. All right.
Ugh. These are my least favorite foods besides French fries. We'll see. I'm really sensitive, but here we go.
Wait, so this is the American hot dog. Okay. If she doesn't like American hot dogs, she's gonna hate Savoys.
I'm so scared. This looks like a nasty raw dog.
Oh.
And the skin is still on it?
That's
You eat
banging
the skin?
that. Yes, eat the skin.
Oh. No. Okay. Let me try it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, love. That's what I'm talking about. Right? I'll give it to you. Looking at a Savoy from the exterior, it's overwhelming, okay? It's very overwhelming. It's like going to a street dance class, okay? You look at the outside of the building, you're like, God, this is like so intimidating. You might see a couple of people in the window giving it all this, and you're like, all right, I don't know if this is the place for me. Once you step inside, once you welcome the overwhelmingness of it, once you embrace it and you consume it, your life changes forever. You know what I mean? That's not a niche experience at all. It's unbelievable. If you haven't already, right, I'm going to set you some homework. This week, I want you to try a Savoy, okay? And then whatever video I upload after, you know, you've tried the Savoy, or even come back to this video, let me know your thoughts. I guarantee it will change your life. Gonna invest in Savoy stocks now. They're about to go up about 2p.
Trying British candy part 1. There's so many things in this box, I'm so excited. Since they came in the mail, a lot of them melted, and then I had to put them in the fridge to kind of re-harden. So let's see how this goes.
Right, okay, variables kind of off already. I don't know if I'm really trusting this experiment. Chocolate isn't the same once it's melted and then you have to, you know, fridge it or freeze it again. Because its shape, its consistency, it's all off. Yes, it's still the bar, but it's not the bar that it once was. You know, it's like when a footballer's retired and he plays in like Soccer Aid or something. You're like, there's glimpses of excellence there, but it's not the same as it used to be.
Adding one at random. A crunchy. I've had lots of requests to try crunchies. I've never had one before.
All right, I think pretty average.
Got solid again. Here it goes. Out of 10.
Nah, see. Love, I can tell you seem like a lovely woman, and that's amazing. Keep that up, but I don't know if I trust your rating skills. You hadn't even took a bite into that, really. You took a chomp off the actual bar. You hadn't let it processed, and you were already rating it. I can't trust this scale, right? I need a rating after it's been swallowed, because then you've had the full experience and the aftertaste. Give it a crunchy, a 10 out of 10, by the way. Bold star. I feel like crunchies are like... I think they're like made. Maybe we need to do like a snack tier list on this channel just as a fun video. I feel like crunchies are kind of made.
We have Freddo. Looks like this one really melted. This might be my first true
Bro, like, that's not even a Freddo anymore. Like, what is that? You can't see Fred. I don't even know what that is. Like, that could have been any chocolate bar. If that was on the table, I could have been given 100 guesses. I wouldn't have said Freddo. There's no remains of Fred.
Cadbury? How do you say it?
He actually just sent me to my death.
Lush them, though.
Oh my gosh. I don't even like milk chocolate, and this is incredible. Wow. 8 out of 10. But that's only because I'm not a huge milk chocolate fan. This is the best milk chocolate I've ever had in my life.
I think she's just really passionate about British chocolate, to be fair. That is one thing, apparently, that American chocolate doesn't taste that nice. Personally, I'm a fan of, like, Hershey's Kisses. Not really a fan of, like, Hershey's actual chocolate bars. I think they taste a little bit like Sick. I think all American chocolate tastes a little bit like Sick, but then if you're American, you're probably just used to that taste, so you don't really kind of think that. But you do see a lot of Americans come over to the UK, try the chocolate and go, oh my god, this is amazing, like especially like Cadbury, which apparently isn't a thing in America, which is like, again, that blows my mind. Whenever I do these videos, it makes me realize how small the UK is. Like, loads of things, loads of IP of businesses that is huge over here just isn't a thing once you leave here.
People have been telling the Snack Master General for years, you gotta try a sausage roll.
Imagine that, man. Your dad calls himself the Snack Master General. Gotta rate it. This is gonna be me when I'm like 45, still making videos, just trying to find what niche works for us. Oh, the Snack Master General. I would change my birth name to that. That is incredible.
Found a Greg's in London and checked it out. This place is like magic with all different foods, but we had to try the sausage roll.
This guy could sell water to a fish. I've never heard anybody describe like the food in Greg's as magical. This guy thinks he's in Hogwarts right now, not just a London Greg's. He's looking at these pizza slices like, what portion class do you have to take to literally make these? These are genuinely incredible.
Even though the donuts are staring me in the face, this sausage roll was absolutely sublime. The legends are true. Fantastic, delicious, all of the above. 9.
Fair play, Snack Master General. Okay, fair play. Right, you're valid. In the UK, you've got the validity from the donut community right now. Do with that with what you will. Do with that with what you will. Do that. Do that what will. I don't know how the saying goes.
Oh, I didn't even see him die. Oh, my bad. I thought he got the portal.
Crunchy. Here's what it looks like. Mmm. So good.
Am I just like messed up? Whenever I chew into a crunchy, I'm like, oh, it's in me teeth. I don't know if it's because my teeth are like pointing in different directions, like some of them, so it kind of gets stuck.
You already said you're British,
if you have like straight teeth, like the experience of biting into a crunchy is a lot more pleasurable. I don't know. I just think they're kind of mid.
Inside is honeycomb, but it tastes like toffee. It is amazing. 10 out of 10. We definitely started off strong. Next, we're gonna try fries, chocolate cream.
Oh, they're posh,
So I
them.
was told this was kind of like
They're
a bullet
posh.
candy.
Like anybody that goes in, like a corner shop and that's the chocolate bar of choice, you just know that they've got, they've got about £100,000 in the stocks and shares, Isa.
I did not think it was gonna be dark chocolate. Let's give it a go. What is that? I was almost gonna say that the center tastes like minty.
Do you know, I've just thought of a funny story. Like, for Christmas, me Nana always used to get us like a box of After Eights, which is like similar chocolate to this, I believe. I think it's like just basically the same thing. But because the packaging was like dark and it looked like quite expensive, I used to think, like, my Nana was so rich because she used to buy us After Eights. Like, genuinely, I used to believe she was like some sort of millionaire. And I was like, how could she afford to buy us like these posh chocolates? When in reality, like, I've never even bought After Eights myself, so I don't know how much they are. But I don't think that they're really posh. But as a kid, I used to think like she was, that's just a wild thought that came into my head. It's the fact that every single individual chocolate is like wrapped in like paper. It's like, ooh, like every single one's like a different experience.
Next, we're gonna try Walkers. It has the same logo as the Lay's. The texture is kettle cooked and it's salt and vinegar. Very good. I personally love salt and vinegar chips, so I give this a 9 out of 10. Next is fruit pastilles.
Sorry, love. What was that? One more time.
Next is fruit pastilles.
Oh, yeah. The classic fruit pastilles. Oh, My favourite luxury. That's my favourite piece of confectionery. Oh yeah, just 2 packets of the fruit pastilles, please. Personally, I prefer the only red and black fruit pastilles. That's a personal highlight for me. Not really a fan of the original pastilles. I think they've seen, you know, they've had their best days are behind them. I wonder if our favourite song is Pompeii by Bastilli. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, it's kind of hard. Here's a purple flavor. Red. Yellow. Okay.
Again, that's like a really funny way to eat a fruit pastilli. Personally, I just shove the whole thing in. I actually shove like 2 or 3 in at a time, if I'm being truly honest. I've never like, you know, just half bit a fruit pastilli. That's a new one. It's fine though, right? You just don't want to jump in with 2 feet, dipping your foot in the water, love. That's fine.
You guys are gonna hate me for this. It reminds me of those vitamin gummies. To be fair, you always want to eat more than 2. I'm down with it. Next, we have walnut whip. What?
This just looks like the haircut that like most lads have these days. Just nothing on the sides and then just bit on the top. This almost looks like the chocolate equivalent of like a Peaky Blinder. I think they only stock these in like M&S. Like whenever I go in M&S, they always have just loads of walnut whips. And I'm like, is this just like a luxury that like the, you know, the clientele of Marks and Spencer's really enjoy?
I'm just gonna bite it.
What doesn't kill you just isn't
I love this. It seems so random, but I think this might be one of my favorites. I don't have enough time, so in the next video, I'll be...
To be fair, I think my granddad's favourite chocolate is walnut whips. I think that is a fact. I'm gonna have to confirm that with them, so don't tell your friends until I have. Don't want any rumours going around that might not be true, okay?
I'm an American. Let's try some UK chocolate. I have this giant container of Cadbury.
See, this freaks us out. This really, really freaks.
It's a calm and pleasant Sunday in Boston, 1944. Italian soldiers in American uniforms maintain a victory garden, attend mass with locals, and enjoy delicious food. Just a few years earlier, they were behind bars in Texas, captured after Il Duce's disastrous desert campaign. But a single stroke of the pen changed everything.
If you're not lemonade stand-pilled, I would recommend the interview that comes out on Wednesday with Steve Eisman, who is the real-life Steve Carell, Mark Baum from The Big Short. It was a good one, dude.
Mark's Mage.
After we interviewed him, he's like, hey, I got to get a ride, or I have to go downtown LA to meet with my new podcast. I'm getting signed to somebody. I'm getting signed to a podcast network. And I was like, you want a ride? I'll take you. I was like, I just threw it out there. I just threw it out there, bro. I was like, you want a ride? And he's like, yeah, that'd be great. So I just drove Steve Eisman for 40 minutes in LA traffic, and we just shot the shit, bro. We just shot the shit, and I got some cool stories out of him, and I wanted to share one with you. It wasn't the Honda Fit. It wasn't my beat up chunk ass Honda Fit. In fact, he tried to get in the passenger door, and there was a basketball on the seat, gym shorts on the floor, 2 dirty basketball socks, shoes, and like a leftover tee. And I had to throw it on the back. I was like, don't like nothing. I had to throw it all in the back. Whatever, I don't give a shit, bro. I'm giving him a ride. Ubers are expensive in LA. I'm saving him money. So I'm giving Steve Eisman a ride. We're just shooting the shit, talking about the pod, talking about how he's doing some content now. He's asking me about content. He asked me like things I've done recently. I mentioned the Gavin Newsom thing. He's like, I fucking hate that guy. Look, Steve Eisman's probably like a center-right Wall Street Republican guy. I'll just being real. He's very funny and has very good insight on financials, but he's like a center-right Republican guy. He doesn't like Trump either, though. So we're not talking politics. We're talking about politics for a little bit. We talk about stocks, you know, because that's his expertise. So we're talking about stocks, and I was like, hey, man, do you know why United Healthcare has done so poorly? Because, like, we obviously know that the CEO got shot by Luigi Mangione. But, like, realistically, why is this stock just crumbling? Like, this does not line up with the assassination. Like, it was fine, and then suddenly it was like, bam. He had a great answer, and I wanted to sort of break it down for you. So it turns out it really has very little to do with Luigi Mangione. If you're a Luigi Mangione guy, unfortunately, this will not be your answer. But because it turns out that guy wasn't even, he was a head of a division of UNH, not even the whole thing. And it is allegedly, I guess. Innocent until proven guilty in this country. Luigi could have been Mario. The truth is, in America, a lot of money in healthcare is made by charging the government, of course, for things like Medicare. If you set up a clinic that primarily serves old people, they don't come in and pay you any money, and they don't have work insurance. What they do is they come in and say, hey, I'm covered by Medicare, they're gonna pay for my procedure. So if you are United Healthcare and you have your new Optimum, it's this company Optum, it looks like this, okay? And you have your new Optum healthcare centers, which are targeted towards old people, then you are primarily making a ton of money off of the government. Old people come in, you charge the government, you bill them, they pay in, and then healthcare goes out to old people, okay? So what UNH was doing, they were getting a little bit creative with how they classified what they were.
NBA League Pass on Prime has all the action. Follow your favorite teams, no matter where you are.
He's putting on a show!
Subscribe on Prime Video right now and save 25% for 2 months.
Treating for. So let me give you an example. If somebody comes into an Optum clinic, let's say an old person, 70 years old, and they have a mild concussion, well, if you mark that as a mild concussion, then you can charge the government a certain amount for the treatment. But if you mark it as a severe concussion, you can charge the government a lot more to treat it. It's called aggressive coding. You can be very aggressive with how you classify the diseases you're treated or the treatment you're giving in order to charge the government more to pay for this person's health care. So it turns out all healthcare in America falls on a spectrum of how aggressive they are with the coding of what they're doing. That's how we would describe it. UNH was like the most extremely aggressive of all. UNH was like very, very on the far end of like, you got a paper cut? We're gonna call that a gash. A bloody gash, a stab wound. They were upcoding everything and getting huge checks from the government. So recently, this is what happened. This is what happened around the UNH stock collapse, is that the government realized they were getting aggressively scammed. Rather than totally fix the problem, they kind of minorly fixed the problem by getting rid of a lot of codes. They basically simplified the code system, they reorganized it, and they made it so it's like much harder to commit open code fraud. Now it's not a drastic change, but it's a step in the right direction. That alone, just a small step in the right direction, UNH so hard. Their earnings took a massive hit because they could no longer do these insane overcharges, and so that hit their stock. But then he told me this, another step behind the scenes. When they realized they could no longer charge the government insane amounts, they wanted to hide how bad that was from Wall Street. They didn't want to report lower earnings. So to keep their cash flow up, to keep the dollars high, and to not have a change, they were selling off parts of their business to private equity and reporting those sales as income. They were like reporting it as regular income for the company. Like if you sold off a piece of your business for $50 million, you're like, yeah, we made $50 million profit. Like they were just reporting it as the normal income from doing business. In this maybe in this post-Mangione period, part of it, you know, in the chaos of that started to come to light. That started to become more obvious that this is not recurring revenue. This is like one-time sales of pieces of their company. And also, selling off bits and pieces means the whole does not work together as well. So all this combined to cause a big disaster for UNH, you know, slowly and then all at once. Like all these problems compounded. I mean, that answer that he gave me in this 40-minute car ride is a much better explanation than anything I've ever heard for why their stock has done so poorly so quickly. I was very, very impressed with the way he summed it up. And so shout out to Steve Eisman. That's the takeaway that I got. Actually, the broader point, I don't want to spoil what I said in the podcast, but there's a lot of stuff that seems borderline illegal that's happening right now. There's stuff with so many loans in this country feel borderline illegal. And if they were properly investigated and checked on, I think they would be against regulation, but nobody cares. There's no consequences.
Maybe I should have a collector.
Some of it's stupidity and some of it's like a lack of consequences. Like the SEC has openly said they're not going after a lot of stuff. They just don't care anymore. And also the rules are being changed. So things that used to be illegal are now legal because the rules are being changed to make them legal. Things around crypto, like there's so much crypto stuff that would be openly illegal that has now been made legal under the new crypto czar David Sachs. You see Jared Kushner bought EA, that's not technically true. I don't know, are you getting your sources from TikTok? Jared Kushner did not roll up with a blank check and buy EA. Jared Kushner was part of a consortium of many different investment groups that are helping take EA private. It's a little bit low-key, not fact-based reporting. He's gonna ruin Assassin's Creed. Jared Kushner is buying EA. He's not doing that, by the way. Is investing in EA, take it private, in order to ruin the Assassin's Creed franchise, which many fans would say is already ruined.
Really can't afford to waste the re-rolls.
It's already slop, and you're
Firefox
worried
could
that.
come in
Also,
clutch.
it's Ubisoft. It's not even an EA franchise, bro. What if Jared Kushner's finding this out right now, same time as me, though? What if Jared Kushner is like checking the games? He's like, wait a minute, where's Assassin's Creed? I just put $50 billion on this. It's honestly not that interesting of a story. EA is going private at a $50 billion valuation to get off the public markets and will be more under the control of the Saudi Gaming Investment Fund, which is putting a lot of money. But there's a big group of investors that are taking pieces of this. There are many different ways you could predict this to go. I don't think anyone knows how it's going to be because it depends on how hands-on the new leadership is. I think more realistically, they're going to have a hard time making their money back, but they probably don't care. It's, again, more of like trying to wash the oil money into any business they can to try and diversify incomes, I think is the idea. I don't think you're going to see much change from EA, I'll be honest with you. You know, normally a company would go private because they want to be able to focus on things that are more long-term, to be less responsive to public market pressures. You know, they don't have to hit their quarterly numbers. They don't have to worry about what Wall Street thinks. But realistically, it's just a money-making vehicle. You know, no one's putting out Madden Ultimate Team because they have a real passion for it. It's not like they're going to go back to the true raw and real Madden. You know what I'm saying? It's a money vehicle. I think if you didn't hear this news story, you would not notice a difference in EA output. That's my honest guess, but we'll see. EA should be focused on making good games, not good earnings, right? Because the whole point is to make Saudis look good. That's not the whole point, though. When you spend $50 billion, you got to make your money back. Just high key. That's just what you got to do. So I predict that it's just going to be the same type of shit. They're going to make more games that have heavy monetization features. Yeah, so good games? Well, it depends on your definition of good game. If you measure it by amount of money it makes, then Madden and FC Club are incredible games. If you measure it by, the heart and talent of a developer, those probably are not the best games. I have a friend who was the lead on a video game called Dawngate. I don't know if any of you are real diehard MOBA heads, but there was this game, and it was the number 3 MOBA in the world behind League of Legends and Dota in terms of active player base. It was fairly successful. It was doing decently well, and the lead of this team gets called into the CEO's office. The CEO looks like this. This is the CEO. He looks like a cyborg. He has the most piercing cyborg stare I've ever seen a man have. And this guy tells the lead on Dawngate, he says, hey, how much do you think Madden Ultimate Team makes us a year? And the guy was like, I don't know. And he goes, it's like $1 billion. And then he's like, how much do you think FIFA Ultimate Team makes us a year? And the guy's like, I don't know, sir. He's like, yeah, $1.2 billion, something like that. And he said, those are the number 1 in their respective categories. And he's like, Dawngate, you guys are doing really well. You're profitable, but at EA, we don't do number 3. And then he didn't fire him, but he canceled Dawngate. Right in that room, right in the meeting. He canceled Dawngate. And this is a story directly from the guy who ran Dawngate. He told me this at dinner, and I was like, damn, that's crazy. EA has definitely been very focused on the money for a very long time now. I don't think there's going to be a drastic change just because the Saudis are involved.
Create spellbinding campaigns with full funnel advertising.
You can choose to raid the caravan, or you can choose to guard it. This is a game where slaying monsters are not the only way to grow stronger. Heck, it's not even the main way. Discover relics in the ruins. Loot treasures from the bandit camps. Learn skills by finishing quests. Profit from trading routes. Build your own territory.
We have special guest Lena Khan calling in for an interesting 20-25 minute discussion about Xbox price raises. I am going to bring up mostly the Xbox stuff. That's the main discussion. However, I also want to bring up the Saudi Arabian purchase of EA for $55 billion and the fact that the New York Times said we pressed her. Are you going to dodge all gaming-related questions? No! The beautiful thing is that this is going to be all gaming-related questions. She wants to talk about the gaming industry. Now, it's not about what Fortnite is or what Discord is, but it is about, you know, what is going on with Xbox Game Pass. H-Shark, are you going to mention the shutdown preventing the stopping of mergers? Yeah, I wasn't until you just said that. Yeah, absolutely. How do you feel about the Game Pass pricing before the hike? Well, I already made a video about it. I'm kind of discuss it. You know, we could probably find it, actually. You have to understand, they expect to make that money back. They are not doing it because Sony are bullies and we want to be heroes. Well, that says it all. Yeah. Whenever these subscription services get a critical mass of users, they start raising prices. That's pretty spot on. And this is the beginning. This is not even phase 1. Imagine later. I just want people to fucking think a little. Imagine later. All right, well, that says it all. Do we really need to interview Lena Khan when we can just watch old Atrioc? He kind of summed it up. Okay, little context as Lena Khan is about to join, just in case you don't know. Microsoft upped Xbox Game Pass to $29.99 a month, $30 a month. For the Ultimate tier, they also rebranded the tiers to Essential, Premium, or Ultimate instead of their old Core and Standard subscribers. So it's a pretty significant price increase. $30 a month for the stuff you used to get. And a lot of like the big selling points of Xbox Game Pass, like day one for new big releases, are only on Ultimate. So I want to give a specific example because I'm not sure Lena Khan will know this reference, but you can buy Silksong right now for $20 on Steam, or you can rent it for 1 month for $30 on Xbox Game Pass. It is actually a horrible deal. Like, if you are interested in a specific new game, this is actually a horrible deal. And $30 a month is getting pretty close to what a full game costs. So you're gonna have to like you have to be really using it to make it worthwhile instead of before, it was a pretty good deal. Hey, Lena Khan, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, great to be here.
Appreciate having you on. I know you have a short amount of time, so we can jump in. I was just catching my chat up on the Xbox price hike situation, and I do think, you know, you probably won't say this, but the way I wanted to frame it was, this is kind of an I told you so moment from your FTC. Because you guys made this very, very clear in your suit against Activision Blizzard and Microsoft that this is what they would try to do the second the eye of the government was off them. So I don't know, is this a victory lap moment for you, or are you more sad about how it's going?
I mean, look, I know a lot of people, you know, derive so much joy from these games, the gamer community, game developers, and it just seems like, you know, ever since the ink dried on this agreement and the lawsuit going through, we've seen, you know, rounds of layoffs after layoffs, rounds of price hikes after price hikes. The price hikes announced this week are a 50% price hike. Like, that's pretty stunning. Just a few days after, you know, a top Microsoft employee acknowledged that Game Pass is profitable, right? They earned $5 billion in revenue. Like, the business is doing well. So unfortunately, it does seem like, as we see in so many industries, once you allow big players to consolidate, they can become too big to care and just start extracting money because they know they can get away with it.
I don't know how you didn't beat Rel. I mean,
you know,
the
reaction from gamers is pretty vociferous. There's a huge game that released this month that cost $20, and now you can either buy it for $20 or rent it for 1 month for $30. And so we're seeing people question whether or not it's worth it to keep the subscription. So I wanted to ask, I do want to ask, because I am fully on your side in support of antitrust. Is there a chance, though, that this just is a huge backfire on their end, that it sort of takes care of itself in that people have other choices elsewhere?
It's possible. I mean, we'll see, you know, what market impact they feel. I mean, interestingly, one question that came up as we were pursuing the lawsuit to try to prevent the Microsoft Activision merger was this question of whether an independent Activision would have made its content available through subscription or cloud gaming services itself. And the trial suggested, yes, that they would have. And under oath, you know, executives admitted that, yes, if they could make the commercial terms work, they would. And so you can imagine a situation in which if Microsoft had actually been more constrained in the market by other players by other firms that also had, you know, big gaming libraries, would they have been able to do this? It will be interesting to see if they have to backtrack here. But, you know, the series of price hikes that they've done suggest they feel pretty emboldened.
Yeah, I mean, I would say from a gaming perspective, there really is no competitor in the cloud space. And at the time of your lawsuit, I think the court ruled it that it was such a nascent industry that they didn't think it was a big enough deal. But as it becomes more and more important, it's very clear that there is nobody challenging them. And so they can raise prices at will. So yeah, that is what gamers are noticing. Though I do think from the outside POV, it does look a bit like Microsoft has been burned a bit by this drastic, possibly overpaying for Activision Blizzard and is trying to recoup their losses. And